Exactly 1 year ago to the day, February 6, 2025, in Boston, Massachusetts, a little team called Spacestation played up against W7M in the opening game of the Six Invitational. After a 34-round screamer, SSG walked away as the victors. Parker, you and I casted that game 1 year ago today. Slightly new coat of paint for FLUXO W7M. Small roster change coming through from SSG, but the bones of these teams are the same, and the Brazilians will be hoping to get their revenge on the North American squad, starting, of course, on border.
Dodes missed the memo to get the old W7M card up as all the rest were in perfect skinnergy, which is another word that will come back that has been used before. Spacestation obviously getting the memo. Border is an unpredictable map. It is usually one for violence, bloodshed, all of the fun things that you know and love about Siege. It's not really that unpredictable, though. There is a lot more structure to Border than you would think, and while pugilism is usually the way that these rounds are won, don't sleep on the gadgetry that will be brought from these squads. You need good gadgetry to entry on Border, and FLUXO W7M has figured that out already.
One thing I'm going to bring up likely at the start of every one of these maps, the Spacestation will start defense 3 times in a row, is that Spacestation are the single best defensive team at the Six Invitational. They've won 74% of defensive rounds through the tournament so far. It's obviously been a big factor behind their success at this event. Their attacking stats are a little worse. 47% is what I'm looking at on my screen. So on the second half of things, FLUXO W7M might be able to walk away with a bit more success, but Spacestation are going to be looking to get off to the races early on all 3 of these maps. Of course, this is FLUXO's map pick too, and they are in the site already, Parker, for a rush.
This is a quick one. Dodes looking to strike first, and he'll overwhelm Folt, surprising him. Newers shutting him down as Loban trades him out immediately. Full control for Archives at the moment for this FLUXO W7M team. As maybe a bit of a brief pause, Loban goes in, they get in, they send the boogie in, they immediately back out. Volps shredding through J90, Benja taking some damage as well, and now a Logic Bomb will come in, adding some insult to injury. Ashen to stand the test against this FLUXO W7M squad, but Palu will shut him down, and an early round win for... Can we still say the Bulls? Am I allowed to say that? Can we get...
They're still the Bulls. Come on.
They're still half the Bulls.
Well, they fluxed their way to a victory to start off here on Border. A really cool rush, Parker, because it wasn't, like most rushes, focused on getting the plant down right away. In fact, Dots with the defuse kit was actually quite far from Archives, where most of that rush was coming in. He was playing the sends over towards security, and so what you had instead of an immediate plant down from FLUXO W7M was just multiple entry points. That push in through Archives is what we witnessed, but there was also pressure in through Break Room happening from Palu. We saw some players over towards security, like I said, with Dots. We saw some pressure over towards open area even. It was a really interesting rush where FLUXO tried to swarm from multiple different directions, and I think it did catch SSG off guard. They didn't know where to look. They didn't know what to worry about, and from 100 different places, they got shot in the backs and the sides and in the front. Really cool push to start off from FLUXO W7M, and something that SSG will have to worry about the next time they go back to that site.
So a tough beginning for SSG, finds themselves immediately on their back foot. They are on the stronger side of their opponent's map, so there will be more familiarity here from FLUXO W7M, but Spacestation are capable of rising to the challenge. And let's not mince words here. You can't really not show up for your opponent's pick. If you want to win a Six Invitational, you gotta be competitive on the map. You don't need to outright win it, Jesse, but you can't lose in, say, like a 7-1, 7-2. You have to be more practice, especially in a best of 3. Best of 5, maybe a bit different. Best of 3, you got to have some familiarity there.
Well, it's interesting, too, because FLUXO W7M have played this map a couple times at SI already. They beat Enterprise 7-4, and then they lost to Oxygen, actually, 8-7, a team that SSG demolished last night in a pretty one-sided game. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this FLUXO W7M team works on Border in contrast to some of those earlier matches that we saw from this team. Definitely wanting to see a little bit more from them in that respect. And they start off quite nicely with that. Bathroom and Tellers will be our second bomb site. And of course, there's a bit of a top floor roam going on. Benja on the Thorn, always a fun sight to see Thorn coming in after her buff. She's been so good ever since those changes to her gadget and was looking for Lobin as he entered in through the front door and still seems hungry to find him. Avoids it for now.
There's early action. It's Ashen taking down Dota as Lobin trades him right back. Again, Lobin now with a kill per round. An excellent number, and if he can keep that up, it will be very hard for him to be chilled by this Space Station team. We'll go back to Discovery. This is very similar to what they did in the first round. Early action, pause, figure out what to do next. That's the play that FLUXO has been benefiting from, and boy, oh boy, did it work in round 1.
Deathmark comes out onto Benjamaster, trying to clear out that Thorn player. These two have been tussling since the start, but here comes Dots, finds Benja outside, distracted by the Deimos, and it's the ace to come through and get the kill instead. That gives a numbers advantage over to the Brazilians as they're still lurking kind of around this map, our SSG. It looks like Newers has been misdroned. He calls Jack over to shoot the drone for him, just so that he doesn't get spotted out by shooting this drone. Dotas is dead and actively watching that drone, by the way.
We're going to get some good value now from this Brava drone. Still one Deathmark in pocket for Lobin, who can do some damage with it. Persistent gadgetry, though, from both the Denari and the Thorn, so not the end of the world that they're out of action. Obviously, you will hurt from their guns. Volt's upset about that one. You saw him shake his head as he gets punished by Volps. Now it's J9O hugging that bomb chassis. Newer's inside a bathroom, so both of them in either bomb site, but they'll be doubled up on. J9O making numbers a little bit easier as down goes Paul Liu. Lobin will join in the afterlife, and now the Warden with smart glasses on. J9O will be able to quarterback whatever distress comes his way. Great hold here from Space Station. I mean, Fultz is talking in chat. Again, he's not usually the yapper. It's Ashen or Newers doing it, but they'll equalize it. Space Station takes round number 2.
A weird round from W7M, stalling out a little bit, it feels like. They've got that massive 4v2 advantage, and maybe they don't have full intel, right? They catch Fultz off guard. Attack timeout from SSG.
On the vents, fellas, what I don't want to do here is I don't want to give any top space against you guys. They're going to apply pressure around site. They might even hit it. Don't give up the top of the free though. Make sure they're going to like, maintain the space around it. Late, they're going to waste a shot time down with that. Start getting that go back in
For how
I barely heard any of that.
For how loud they can be, Parker, SSG in calm moments are extremely quiet, extremely controlled in some of those situations. I like the attack timeout from Call It because even though it's a 1-1 game, it doesn't feel like it's out of hand of SSG by any means. They probably should have lost that round. It was a huge advantage for FLUXO W7M. They stall out a little bit, unfortunately, on that attack. They get inside of waiting and, unfortunately, don't find that trade onto J9O. If they're a little bit closer together, I think J9O should go down in a moments like that. That would have given them Teller site control. That could have enabled a plants. That could have been a whole different round, even putting Newers in a tough clutch position. So, didn't really go that way. Really nice anchor play coming out from Newers and J9O. And get to see them tie up this game. What a piece.
Early timeout, but I mean, if you want to settle the team down, if you think things are going the wrong way, then Call Out will have a good read on it. I mean, you saw frustration on Fultz's face through 2 rounds.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to fall behind when you've got players like Paulu, like Lobin, like Volts ready to run you over. And I mean, even if you're one of the best teams in the world, you're going to struggle to go up against those fraggers. Space Station has frankly not been one of the best teams in the world. They've been a pretty middle-of-the-pack team. Best in North America domestically, not the best internationally. That nod goes over to M80, of course, who are actually playing against BNK FearX on the A stream right now. Map number 1 was a hell of a game if people watch that one. But Space Station have struggled with frags, and they got caught out in both of those rounds by unpredictability from this FLUXO W7M team.
Well, it'll be Events Workshop hold for Space Station, so they're completing their rotation, playing 3 bomb sites for the first 3 rounds, despite the fact that top floor is open to go back to. They're confident in their tertiary site, so they will spread out some roamers across that top floor. Benja, of course, was the lone player on site, but I think once he realized it's not going to be a rush from W7M, makes the call to play upstairs with his teammates. So this is going to allow Space Station to play a 5v5 through the top floor. It does seem like the FLUXO W7M want to clear through top. It looks like they might be starting east towards where J9O is positioned, but they've got some bodies still on the mid floor as well. Loban, bit of a lurk on that Dokkaebi, could do something sneaky getting into the site. The problem with Loban is if he does get in, he's not going to find anybody, and he doesn't have diffuser. But here comes the clear.
And it sounded like it'd be another quick push as Palu goes hunting. That Shield of Dots is off to the races. You're right. Completely empty-handed on top east right now and left the cam up. I don't know if he's been spotted or not.
You know what, Parker? I think they've realized Loban has gotten deep, and he's realized there's nobody really in sight. They've called the blitz to come all the way around to the window. He's now backing off, and there is fighting elsewhere.
Dota's with the leadoff pick, but it's traded by Ashen. So first blood not really going to matter much. The operators that died, of course, will matter. Lures going down was not ideal. Volps will die shortly thereafter, but it's a nice refrag from Loban on to Fultz, who has an opportunity for a second, taking damage from that goo mine. He's got Ashen and Benja Master. Now, as Ashen dies, the shield was coming in, so now it's Benja to clutch out. Still without a kill for the Dane. He has 3 opportunities to change that. His position given away by a logic bomb. He will aggress over to the Dokkaebi and manage to get him, but Dots has the trade. It wasn't even a secured kill for Benja. It was just simply a down and a bounce back round from FLUXO W7M.
You know, before this game started, Parker, we highlighted Loban versus Ashen as the 2 best players on their respective teams coming into this matchup, and their duel inside of security was absolutely critical for how this round would play out. Ashen, of course, got that somewhat opening pick, trading out his teammate of Newers on the top floor. Immediately, Loban, who was first playing West Main, was able to walk up those metal stairs, able to take that gunfight up against Ashen. The SMG from the Dokkaebi just a little bit faster, a little bit better than what Ashen could provide on the Ella. And once that player goes down in the craziness of that flash, the rest of the SSG players aren't able to respond in time. FLUXO W7M didn't know what they wanted to do for a large portion of that round. They started by thinking maybe we'll go for an east clear. Then they said maybe we'll just go into sight. The blitz, if you watched Dots on the top-down POV, was all over the place. But eventually they settled on their clear of the top floor. Eventually they were able to collapse on those security players, and they did a great job finding those frags before time ran out.
No, I've been really impressed. Even in the round that they lost, Jesse, I was quite impressed with FLUXO W7M's entry, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you can set a quick pace and knock them off and then still have time to drone it out and use that to your advantage, hugely beneficial. That bottom floor bomb site of Bathroom and Archives can be quite tricky to deal with. Bathroom tellers, rather. I get tellers, and my brain is so scrambled from the tellers Archives bomb site on Bank. I don't think I am ever able to change it. It's the same with Arsenal versus Armory.
Yeah.
It's just completely interchangeable as well. Most people understand it, so do bear with me here. But when you're going to that downstairs bomb site, if you have not gained control of the 2 sites, which FLUXO W7M had not done, and you are running out of time, very similar to that upstairs bomb site on Oregon, the site works in your favor. There's not a lot of soft destruction you can do. There's very limited vertical play if you only have the hatch open. And FLUXO W7M did a great job of clearing everybody else out, but then really struggled to push into the site.
Well, we're going back to the same bomb site as round 1, but 9 of the 10 operators have been swapped around. Only Volps on the Dokkaebi has kept his sane op since the last time we were on this top floor. Bomb site, of course, FLUXO W7M not really running a rush comp this time around. The one op who does stay the same, of course, the Dokkaebi finds the head of Newers to begin. And Parker, every game we're casting today, bot seems to be the only word that these pro players know.
Well, when there's a language barrier,
I suppose.
if there's a language barrier between your teams, I guess everybody knows what a bot is.
I gotta say, though, the English on FLUXO W7M is pretty good.
Yeah, Volps is pretty much fluent. Palu is pretty close to fluent. I can't speak for the other 3 because
Loban is very fluent.
I haven't exactly had a ton of experience with those players. Obviously, everybody speaks English on the side of SSG, but I mean, bot's also just a funny word. It hurts to be called a bot.
Fair enough. Well, there's Lobin taking down Benja for another big kill. Once again, he's been fantastic for FLUXO W7M this whole event. Up to 5-1 now on the KD as Spacestation are trying to clutch back this 3v5.
You best know that Lobin, with this performance, he's playing for a paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
He wants some money, as they call it. And once again, we say if he can get a single kill every round, that is tremendous. If your average kill per round is over 1, you're in good shape. Lobin's elbow gives him away, and sure enough, if you hit somebody's elbow with a slug shotgun multiple times, they will probably die in real life. So it's understandable. But again, Lobin goes in, gets a kill, he dies. That's terrible that the buck is dead. Mm-hmm. But you've got a minute to go. You managed to take out 2 players on Spacestation. FLUXO's in great shape.
And nobody on site for the defenders, so FLUXO could try to start making their way towards the bomb site. They're really worried about security, and as they clear through it, they catch Ashen on his attempt to get back inside a fountain. Couldn't get there in time, so now it's a 2-man lead as they're looking towards the site. 40 seconds still to go. This push is mounting over towards security. This plant has to go down inside of lockers, which means J9O will be the first line of defense.
Doubled up. FLUXO has so much leeway with this round, and you have to swing or be swung. J9O attempts that. Takes a bit of damage in the process. Fultz still searching for his first kill. Benja on the bench. He's killless too. Fultz will break that goose egg. Great target prioritization from J9O, and he'll have to do it all by himself. The Blackbeard running in. He gets away. Playing this so well. Dots holds the defuse kit. That is the greater issue. J9O shown for but a second. Paulu gets the job done with the sidearm out, surpassing Lobin in kills. 6 frags for the new father, and another round for FLUXO.
Damn, really nice try from J9O. He runs into security because he knows there's 10 seconds left on the clock, and so if he runs away, he can force a 1v1, and if he wins it, that's GG, that's the round, but just misses the shots at the end there, can't clutch it up on the final moment. FLUXO W7M playing expertly, too, in that 4v2 to close things out. I really got to give credit to Dots. His ability to maneuver the team into that site with the help of the Blackbeard, I think, was really critical in the midst of that push. Dots has taken over as IGL of FLUXO W7M coming into this event. For a very long time, it was Volps who was leading this team and doing it from kind of a flex position. Dots has always been a hard support. He's always been a shield player, but he's never really held that mantle of team leader of IGL. He's decided to take that up through this event. It's been a bit of a risk for FLUXO W7M, but I gotta say, so far I like how it's looked.
Yeah, I mean, every single time we tend to show a graphic for this team, unfortunately, Dots is always way far off the rest of the squad.
Yeah, because of the roles he plays.
Of course, and that's understandable. But, I mean, you have to ask the question, if you're not IGLing and you're playing support roles and you're not fragging and your objective play isn't that good, is there a more efficient way to move those roles around? And it seems like they've found it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Dots' numbers, to his credit, have not really gotten much worse, but Volps' numbers have gotten much better. And I think that change has worked for them. And given that the only team that is above them in their group is widely considered to be one of the favorites here,
yeah,
I'd say it was a good change.
Benja still hunting for his first kill inside of Customs. The Lion Charge goes through but catches nobody. Paulo is quite deep already. He can smell the bomb site from where he's sitting inside a Passport. In the site, we see J9O playing inside a bathroom. He's going to be the primary anchor trying to lock this site down. The rest of his teammates roaming across the map. Most of them actually on the mid-floor. Again, Benja in Customs. We can see Faults inside a server. 2 players top floor as well. We saw the Lion Charge not amount to much. Here's the Dokkaebi Charge, but not a whole lot of movement from FLUXO W7M. They're still trying to drone and get information to where these players are. If they're successful with this intel gathering, Parker, they should be able to find Ashen and Newers isolated up above.
Ashen entered as the best rated player on the team with the most kills as well. Sometimes those aren't in perfect harmony. You can be the best rated player with lower kills, depending on how often you're dying. Usually it's good company with Benjamaster, but a slow start from Benja, who's playing a bit farther back, so maybe don't expect him to be getting as many frags. Fultz has been more active through a number of these rounds. There's Benja now inside of Customs. The drone will scoot on by. Nobody's given him anything yet. He might get a peek at Dots here in this position. Nitro Cell goes out, and it lands right on top of Lobin. A rare round where Lobin exits without a frag.
Yeah, nice little Nitro. Catches them off guard. They want to go for a very kind of Minimal take in through waiting, but with this Electroclaw on the single wall, I'm not sure if they're really going to be able to open it up. Could maybe try tossing in a nade, but with Loban dead, that's no longer an option for them. This wall is almost certainly staying closed through the round, Parker, which is going to make it very awkward to try to sneak a plant.
I don't think they know what to do with that shield. They're starting to stall out a little bit, and the TCSG is not exactly the gun you want to deal with a shield at, because if you miss your first 2 shots, it's tough to hit, but when he exposes his back to you, you can get him, and that's exactly what Benja does. Newers and Benja adding to the tally for Space Station in this round. A great flank from Volps, as Newers wasn't prepared for that. He himself holding position over top of lobby. Dota's slaughtering Ashen, and the lead that SSG has, it remains. But it has gotten a lot more winnable for FLUXO W7M. Volps and Dotas, neither holding the defuse kit. They know that on the side of Space Station. They've coalesced around this, and they likely have a line of sight. Volps hoping to pick up that defuse kit. Volps watching it quite intently. Dota is in the sight, but with nothing to show for it. An impactless kill onto J90 and a big round from the Dane as he finally got on the board. And those impact frags give the round to Space Station.
Dota's on a bit of a side quest at the end of that round. Parker almost allergic to the defuse kit, just seeing what he could find after Volps dies. That is unwinnable. So nice attempt from FLUXO W7M, but I mean, really, that is all Benja that round. The 3 kills are great and certainly an important part of how they win that. But the Electroclaw, too, he was playing on the Kaid. It really felt like the second FLUXO W7M got into waiting. They wanted to breach that single wall. They wanted to get a plant down without very much map control in a 5v5. Potentially would have been fine. They just couldn't get into sight, all because of that Kaid. And again, with no real EMPs to open that up, only the nade could have maybe managed to clear out that claw, and the second Loban died. That wasn't going to be an option for them. So smart play from Space Station Gaming. They get that utility victory, and then Benja hits him with a 3K too. Don't forget, he started yesterday by putting up 16 and 5 in their first map against Oxygen. That was Benja's highest EPS match that he's played in over a year. Has kind of taken a step back, you know, when Newers joined this team. He and Ashen became maybe the focal points, the primary entry duo. But when he needs to, Benja can seriously step up his game and play some amazing Siege.
One thing I don't know if we really got into was this map pick phase. We don't have a desk here on the B stream, so we have to do it ourselves. The desk does cover a little bit of the B stream, but not quite as intensely as they do with the A matches. SSG is actually ahead of FLUXO in records on all 3 of these maps, Jesse.
Yep.
This is a great set of maps for Space Station. So if they are unable to win this series, you can't say it's because there's a lack of familiarity here. You have to say they just got simply beat. We saw a quick pace back in round number 1. Round number 6 looks like it's shaping up to be the same. The blitz clearing from above, but hey, Foltz and Ashen get 2 kills. Foltz on the ground. Army crawling his way over towards the door. Newers in on the action as well. Separate players from Space Station, all credited with these kills. Foltz goes down at the hand of Loban. As it's now, it's Loban and Paulu. If there are ever 2 players you want in the final moments of a round, and we are far from that, there's still 2 minutes to go, it's FLUXO's W7M's players of Loban and Paulu. Now, what can they do with this remaining time? And 4 players from Space Station eager to punish them.
The fuse kit should be retrievable. It's top floor. Loban's not too far away from it, so that doesn't need to be the biggest issue for them. Every player on SSG has retreated. They're happy with the man advantage. They'll sit back in towards that bomb site on the main floor. Now, Benja just got misdroned, and that could be brutal for FLUXO W7M. Paulu is making his way through waiting. No idea of Benja's position. If the Dane plays this right, this will be a free pick.
Good guns in the hands of FLUXO as now another 40 seconds has gone by. Time elapsing.
Oh, no. He's dead.
Benja playing keep away prop hunt. He was a vending machine, Jesse. And there's no way of knowing where he was. I mean, hey, now your hopes all rest on Loban, whose position upstairs in security, revealed by that black eye cam, thrown out by Newers 2 minutes ago. Loban drops, and Benja has a terrific final 2 rounds of the first half. Tie game, sending us to round 7 with no team closer to victory.
After they won their third round, FLUXO's W7M typed in the chat, should be 4-0. Well, it's not 4-0. It's not even 4-1 or 2. It's 3-3 as Spacestation tie that first half. And I think it really comes off the back of Benjamin Dorelli stepping up at the tail end of that half, just making really smart plays, Parker. His positioning, his nitro cells, all exceptional. We know how good he is as an aimer, but he didn't really need to hit any crazy shots to hit those impact kills the last couple of rounds. Of course, the entry game going so well for Spacestation in round 6 set him up to do just that. But FLUXO W7M can be an emotional team at times, Parker, and we really need to see them be able to lock back in. Going up against SSG, two teams that are typing back and forth at each other, it's important you don't let the momentum slide too far the other way.
No, both of these teams are so momentum-based as well. I would argue that FLUXO W7M is a little bit less momentum-based than Spacestation. I don't know.
Really? I think I disagree.
We're allowed to disagree.
I just have a brutal image in my head of walking past the W7M guys after their Munich Major exit, and man, oh man, that was an emotional scene from them. I can't recall ever seeing Spacestation like that. One thing they often try to work on is their discipline, is their mentality in games like these. They've often been praised, actually, for how good their mental has been, but sometimes that praise is maybe overstated as well.
I do think there is a distinction to be made here, and this is where I come from. Spacestation get in their own head. It's not that they get angry, it's not that they get toxic, it's not that they start yelling at each other, but when things fall apart, the one thing that this org has always struggled with, all the way back from its initial maiden voyage here in Siege, is finding a way to get that confidence back and bounce back in. They get quiet, they stop talking, vibes can get bad, and if they don't have call out or another leader on the team to pull them back from the brink, it can be a little tricky. Now, you're right, to their credit, Spacestation has worked on it. And FLUXO W7M does have some fiery players. I've seen Volts get real mad before. But I don't know. Maybe Palu, when he was on Liquid, would get a little bit mopey. But I honestly think that the SSG team can get in their feels a bit when things go wrong, and it can be tough to recover from. Now, do keep in mind, if things start to go bad here, Jesse, SSG's already used their timeout.
Yeah.
So there is no way for them to fix this outside of in the server.
Nice information from Dots, hoping to get a freebie, but he just can't find the damage onto Benja. Playing the buck down below, I think Benja realizes he's been spotted out. He'll hear that shotgun of the pulse and recognize exactly what just happened, getting caught with that heartbeat scanner, and has to leave the area. This is a bit of a role swap up from FLUXO W7M. This lineup is not new from when we last saw them play this map in November, but roles have changed quite a bit. Typically expect to see maybe the Palu playing on something like the Goyo instead, the Ella sometimes over towards Dodez. Some operators have been swapped around, but this is not an unfamiliar comp for Spacestation if they did their homework.
They'll hear that Reaper MK2, a gun that has been given to a number of new ops. And it makes Pulse a lot more viable as he'll be running that shotgun. Newers gets kill number 1. The Blackbeard is on its way. Nitro cell tossed out, but it will not blow up. And now there's another swing on the window as Palu desperately attempting to keep his team close. He's the only kill so far. Spacestation doing great work, but hold on a second. Dodez is also on the board. That lead is almost completely gone and now is fully gone before Benja rips it right back. Dodez with TCSG in hand. Last man standing. Spacestation looking for the lead. Oh, there's so much damage being done, Jesse. Here's Dodez living on borrowed time. Spacestation has yet to lead on border. They just need one more kill. Benja dies at the hands of Dodez. Newer's low HP as well, and they will have to wait a little while longer. What a clutch from FLUXO W7M.
Well, if it should have been 4-0 earlier, it probably should be 4-3 for Spacestation right now. Both teams tossing a man advantage as the clutch potential from both sides is being shown. There's no doubt the mental is rock solid on both these teams for now, Parker. Just the way that Dodez and Palu were able to work around each other in that 2v5 was really incredible. Always trusting in their gunfight, constantly ADS in those moments, not playing together necessarily because they knew even if they trade out, they're not going to win that round, but putting themselves in positions where one could get a kill and then it could ping pong onto the other. While everybody's looking at Palu, Dodez swings for the frag. While everybody's looking at Dodez, Palu swings for the frag. And for SSG, it's so difficult to get a trade in an environment like that one. Good attempts from their players, of course. They had lots of time to play with, didn't end up using very much of it. And FLUXO W7M regained the lead after slipping through that second quarter.
10 seconds to go.
This is everything that we'd hoped for through 7 rounds, Jesse.
5 seconds remaining.
Every round has involved bloodshed, violence, all the good things that you come to a first-person shooter for. And there's been a lot of skill shown. In stark contrast to certain best of threes that we have watched, there really hasn't been a lot of deficiency here. It hasn't been about which team doesn't make as few mistakes. This has been teams making a ton of great decisions, and it's been really nice Siege to watch. It's been a bit of an odd group stage so far, if I do say so myself. We've seen some absolute stankers, just 7-1, 7-0s, 7-1, 7-1, and that is the 2-0. But then we get amazing best of threes with some incredibly competitive games, and it feels like every single day there is a new best of three, best of three, I should say.
Yeah.
That unfolds in front of our eyes. I think if this one goes the full distance with the way it's shaping up, this could very easily rival the secret FLUXO W7M game we saw yesterday, which just might currently have the crown for best match of this event.
Well, again, Parker, 1 year ago today when Spacestation and W7M faced off at the Six Invitational, that was one of the best games of the group stage back then. So there's no doubt that the expectations are high for a good game here. Now, the hold from FLUXO W7M isn't so spread out. They didn't really commit to playing security. They had nobody over towards East Stairs. Their top floor hold was really restrained to just kind of Armory Lockers archived, a little bit in open area too, and then of course 2 site players down on that bottom floor. They're using some of these electro claws to try to keep that top floor secure, and Space Station haven't been able to crack this nut yet. Knowing where some of these bottom floor players are, knowing that Loban could be lurking down below, this is a great drone to be able to spot out 2 players playing inside of lockers. But Ashen on the blitz has a really tough task. He's going against a Warden, Parker.
He falls back as Palu takes some damage and doesn't see J90 all the way inside of Archives. Dota's fighting for his life. Not much he can do. Loban with the only kill so far. Dots on the board now with a Nitro Cell. Back to even numbers we go. Mayhem upstairs. Bomb site below, though. Space Station getting these kills. Jesse, now they drop. They'll lock that defuse kit in. Ashen vulnerable as Volts and J90 will now watch for the remaining players. Volts shut down, trying to get back to the site. Great job by J90. It's him and Ashen. Jack killing everybody in the server. Dot's last man standing. Ashen and J90 searching for this kill. Ashen will get the job done. Huge play, great roam clear by Space Station, and yet again, we are tied.
Great round start to finish. I mean, this is such a high-level game of Siege, Parker. Space Station game made that clear happen really nicely. They took their time with it, too. Over 90 seconds before they got into a gunfight, but they were droning through the site, they were getting their blitz set up, and then they managed to find that entry point. I said it was going to be really tough for Ashen on the blitz to crack that locker's hold, and it was going to be. That's why J90 was playing over towards Archives. Everybody was looking at the blitz. Nobody was looking at Jack. He gets this opening pick here onto Palu, and then once the fight happens up on the top floor, right, we end up in a 3v3. Space Station know they have full top floor control, so what do? They drop through the hatch, and they get themselves set up in a plant spot that really is impossible to deny unless you have top floor control. It's very, very difficult to deny that horizontally. So J90 holds the metal stairs. He gets 2 frags as those FLUXO players try to retake up above, up metal. They get absolutely blown to bits in that attempted retake, and Space Station from start to finish create a good game plan, executed on it perfectly, and play the post plant without any mistakes. A brilliant round coming out from the astronauts.
A log jam and kills for Space Station. As much as you love Loban, that's how I feel about J90.
Yeah.
I just think he is such a deceptively good player, and for so long he was incredibly underrated. He seems like an all-around glue guy, the type of person to hold a team together. We don't speak Portuguese, so it's hard to tell who that would be on FLUXO W7M. Yeah. I'm sure they've got a glue guy too. But for all the praise that we give the fraggers on the side of FLUXO W7M, somebody like, oh my goodness, J90 needs his praise on Space Station. Benji came very close to a kill.
Yeah, they had a ping on that guy for sure. They knew where he was at. The droning has been excellent for Space Station. Probably just the site drone hole catching that player out, but too risky to commit fully for it. Volps doesn't think anything is too risky. 3 Toxic Babes in pocket and hunting for a guy inside of Customs.
Certainly not Rixie, that's for sure.
Bit of a mistake.
Bit of a mistake. Volps dies to Benjamaster, and out the sledge goes. Walk in, get kill, leave. Don't bother explaining yourself. You don't need to. Space Station with the early numbers advantage, a reminder that while Space Station has a historical better record on this map, it is FLUXO W7M who have picked it. Again, a good map pool for Space Station, but comfort level, ability, operator bans, all of these play into how well they will perform. Space Station has tied or trailed this entire map, so they are desperately searching for their very first lead. Loban will now do battle with 2, maybe even 3 players of Space Station as he beheads Benja down in Passport. Ashen will topple him, and then a drop on down as Fultz has now walked that Blitz Shield in to get the plant at the halfway mark. Newer's box out Dodez. Nitro Cell will go. A good cross. Who is it? It's J90 watching from afar. Palu will search to break double digits. He'll have to do so if he wants to win this round. He's all by himself. You can start singing the song. Ashen also looking to break double digits. But there's 3 players on the side of Space Station who can easily find the last Brazilian still alive. Toying with him, flashing him, knocking him over, and Fultz will do it. Yet again, Jesse, it's the Blitz. Ashen last round, walking Diffuser in and getting the kill. This time it's Fultz. And for the first time on Border, Space Station takes the lead.
Yeah, and honestly, a really cool push coming in. Again, Space Station, don't forget, came into this game as the #1 defensive team in the Six Invitational. Their attacks were under 50%, and yet their attacks on Border look so clean, so well put together. Nothing crazy, nothing complicated necessarily in that round. It's an East Stairs take that ends up going through that single wall from waiting into the site, planting on the Blitz, something that FLUXO W7M wanted to do earlier in this matchup, but were stumped by an Electro Claw. Bit of attack timeout now to come through from W7M. I don't believe we'll get audio for this one.
We have a little.
We have a little.
Can't really hear what Norris is saying, and on top of that, wow, they're fully embracing. We've got some heated rivalry on our screens.
Norris has been coaching this particular team across a number of different orgs all the way since September of 2023. Back then, they were known just as Team 1. Then they became Los 1. Then they just became Los. Then they became W7M. Then they became FLUXO W7M. He's been with this squad his entire professional career. Been coaching in Tier 2 and in amateur leagues all the way back since 2017. Again, in 2023, went into Tier 1 with this squad and has been coaching Dots in particular, who you see on your screen right now, basically that entire time. The trust and the bonds that these players have with their coach, and especially between the long-standing players of Loban and Dots, is indescribable. Norris will now try to reset this team once again, get them back into this matchup. You said it, Parker. We've been referencing it all day. FLUXO W7M kind of need to win this map. It is their pick. All 3 maps are ones that Space Station are very comfortable on, so losing your own pick in a series like this could immediately be a death sentence.
Yeah, I mean, how do you go up against them on Cafe? Border is relatively close, despite the fact that, again, the historical record over the last 6 months benefits Space Station. As of late, it's been FLUXO W7M in the driver's seat, and the last time this map was played by SSG was Shopify Rebellion back in December, 53 days ago. It was played 2 days ago by FLUXO W7M, where they beat Enterprise. But if you wander over to Cafe Dostoyevsky, in terms of map preference rate, this is the 8th of 9 maps for W7M, so FLUXO W7M. So Space Station Gaming has picked one of the weakest maps for this FLUXO W7M team as their own. It also happens to be a very good map for Space Station. They played it 3 days ago against Enterprise with a 7-2 victory. They have a terrific attacker win rate. Their defender win rate on it is even better.
Yeah.
And they are 3-0 over the last 7 months on that map. So you're right. Space Station obviously has a slight edge in terms of record on these maps, but that doesn't factor into their competition. It doesn't factor into the teams right now. It doesn't factor into the meta. But I'm sweating a little bit if I'm FLUXO W7M. Losing your own map pick is usually poorly advised, Jesse. But then to stare down a map that FLUXO W7M are not typically that confident on, it is within the realm of possibility that an SSG victory on Border leads to a 2-0 for the North Americans.
It's a great pin from J90, and Benja will capitalize on it. He takes down Loban for the opening pick, the top fragger for FLUXO W7M here at this event. Gone early in round number 10. Gives Spacestation a lead to try to push this into map point. That's the one player that was really playing down below on that first floor. He gets removed for FLUXO, so it's just those top floor players now. Loban initially was open area. He just dropped down to bathroom a few moments before that ping came through and before Benja found that kill. So trying to get aggressive, trying to catch SSG off guard, that's just not something that works very often at Space Station. It was Fault in an interview yesterday talking about why they always seem to beat Oxygen, and he kind of said, like, OXG rely on surprise plays, and we do our homework. We do not get surprised by them very often. Maybe don't have as much familiarity with FLUXO W7M, not playing in the same region, but they're still ready for most of their tricks.
Benja has just been on an absolute heater. He was 0-4. He's 10-3 since that double as Kaid, and he almost gets an 11th. Paulu's able to get out of there with his live still intact, and he's shot at from multiple angles. This is why I kind of wish I spoke Portuguese, because I would have loved to know what Norris was saying, because clearly it is not working. Or Space Station got their own timeout as well, right? They get to talk to the team, and that's a bit of a saving grace. Benja finds a third. Down goes Newers, the only casualty for Space Station. At this point, Benja could have had a fourth. Volps will evade him for now. Volp's taking some serious damage, but he manages to get the diffuser down. A sweep now over from Benja Master as there's the Blackbeard drawing his attention. Volp's under fire from Benja. The Blackbeard keeping his attention. You have to worry about what Ashen can do. He takes matters into his own hands. Volps with a kill, and Space Station on map point, ready to steal FLUXO W7M's border away from them.
3 years ago, when Benja was just 19 years old, he got picked up by G2, brought to SI, and lifted the hammer as a Six Invitational MVP. He knows what it takes to be the best on the biggest stage, and he's showing that again now in Paris. A fantastic round again to come through from the Danish player, and again, it's not just him. The information's been really good. I really have to credit the droning from Space Station. They've enabled Benja to get a lot of those kills. But even after he's done playing down below on the Buck, after he's made his impact, giving his team a two-man lead by himself, then he rotates back up. Then he continues to help with the push. He's aware that he can't do anything else from down below, so why not connect with the rest of his teammates? A 3K opening lifts him up to 11-7, the highest frag player in the lobby. He needs to be feeling very good about his play right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was wagging my finger at him just a little bit through those first couple rounds, saying, hey, you've got some ground to make up. The rest of the team is starting to outpace you. And anybody who's watched Benja over the last couple years, Jesse, they know that he goes through cold spells. They know that he will go through a couple games where he is, I don't want to say useless, but nowhere near as effective on his role. He's been dialed in so far at SI. He and Ashen have been standing up against the best of the best. Loban had a terrific start, and he has fallen back down to earth since then. It's been the rest of the supporting cast doing well, but the only person who's really able to stand up from a fragging perspective has been Paulu, but as Paulu typically does, he's usually one of the last alive. So you can net a bunch of garbage kills in garbage time, but you're not getting the impactful kills that are needed. Those impactful kills are just not happening from FLUXO W7M, and it's really hurting them.
Here comes the rush. Smokes in through the vent window, hoping to jump in quickly, although it's a bit of a bait. Now Fultz is in.
Paulu has the smart goggles. There we go, finally using them. Is it too little too late? He's completely bottling it. He's been deactivated by the Thatcher EMPs. A brilliant counter by Space Station. Dot's the first one to fall, and FLUXO W7M now rest on the remaining 4.
J90, really good Thatcher play. He stops the Nitro Cell and stops the Warden up above as well. He's done everything to help get SSG the round win.
And they are pulverizing them now with the timer continuing to run away. Down they go, almost a team ace to finish this map. Space Station loaded in, ready to play, and boy did they ever. It was 4-4. And then SSG took off. They look towards their own map with a 1-0 lead. That's a great spot to be in for any team.
History seems to be repeating itself, Parker. Spacestation once again take the lead up against FLUXO W7M, just as they did a year ago when they won that best of 3 in Boston. They're looking even more dominant now, though, Parker. All of those attacks were so brilliantly crafted. The game plan was on point. They knew exactly how they wanted to finish the round each and every time. Benja was stepping up with the kills. The util and droning was great for J9O. It was a full team effort from SSG.
And I mean, we talked about mental. W7M, FLUXO W7M had some long faces as they walked away from their booth. Can they recover and manage to steal SSG's map, or is this a 2-0? We'll find out after this break.
Jack, fresh. Oh my god, please, can you sign this photo up for you?
How do you have this photo?
Please, we're really big fans, actually. Can you tell us about this photo?
No, I shouldn't.
Well, this is actually Mama Fresh delivered this.
Excellent.
Jack, fresh. Oh my god, please, can you sign this photo up for you?
How do you have this photo?
Please, we're really big fans, actually. Can you tell us about this photo?
No, I shouldn't.
Well, this is actually Mama Fresh delivered this.
Excellent.
Towards us. Thank you.
My mother has been providing photos again.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you all for the broadcast. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you. Oh my god, Anne, fast Anne. Oh my god, can you please sign this photo? Can you please sign this photo?
You pulled this off my, what is it?
No.
No, I see the hand on it. This is not from me. You had someone else involved in this.
We had 2 people involved. We had both Fast Mama and Fast Colin.
Oh my, you reached out to my mom for this as well?
Colin.
And okay, well, yeah.
But
This is,
can you tell us about this look? It's a strong look.
Yeah. You know these sunglasses, the Miu Miu, like, or the whatever brand it is, sorry, glasses that are in right now? I feel like I was setting a trend with that back in the day already.
This is very similar to the photo shoots that we've done for the production so far.
Yeah, so I was planning ahead of time, I think. When I was probably like, how old would I be here? 2, 3 maybe?
I thought about 11 or 12, but
No.
maybe.
All right, okay.
If you could please sign it, we need to,
Yeah.
What
What are you going to do with this?
Keep them, they're for me.
Okay.
I'm a really big fan.
You going to hang it above your bed?
Yeah.
Then I will
I've
sign
got a
it
whole
for
wall.
you. All right.
Thank you so much, Anne. I love your work. Thank
Wonderful.
you so much.
Not exactly the result that FLUXO W7M wanted, especially after their spirited matchup against Team Secret yesterday, but it doesn't get any easier for them, Jesse. Space Station might be about to pull off, I don't want to say a surprise 2-0,
Yeah.
but a surprise 2-0. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Loban had a bit of a rough first map. Ashen did a lot better. Benja was also a star. He could easily be up there.
Yeah.
There was way more depth on SSG. And I mean, if you just take a step back and look at the whole team numbers, SSG looked way better than a 7-4 result.
Mm-hmm.
And FLUXO W7M looked way worse than a 7-4 result.
I mean, I really think at the start of the match, FLUXO W7M did look like the better team. You know, they were really crushing it on their offense. It felt like they were finding good value. Paulo in particular, Paulo and Loban really at the start of that game were starting to take over. Their executes looked great, but Space Station's attacks looked way better. For the best defending team in the tournament, their attacks were ridiculous.
Well, they might style themselves well on broadcast, but how do they style themselves in cafe? Space Station will go to their map pick looking for a big 2-0 victory over the Brazilians. Will they get it? Let's find out.
FLUXO W7M faced off against Team Secret yesterday on Cafe and got away with a victory even if it took 14 rounds to complete that success. They also beat FaZe Clan in the SAL Finals 7-2 back a few months ago, but SSG are no pushovers either. They chose this map for a reason, and part of that reason is that they've got a 7-1 record this season playing on Cafe. In North America, there is no better than Space Station on this map, and already we are getting into it. Even in the op ban phase, the chatter does not stop. Space Station ban out the double shield combo of Blitz and Monty. That's going to be focused on to Dots, of course, and then the defenders taking out a zombie, as you kind of have to on Cafe, and the Kaid, which can often be a very strong operator for certain sites like the basement.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by
We
attackers.
got to see a bunch of maps today that we have yet to cast, and this was one of them. There's no way it's 51-49, right? Like, that's crazy. There's no way.
I mean, honestly, I believe it. These are two very evenly matched teams. Even though I think SSG looked like a significant step up, not like they crushed FLUXO W7M, but they looked solidly like the better team, I'd say, on map 1.
I just figured it would be a bit more than that. Here, what the stakes are in this matchup. It's a second place finish with a victory. That is really it. Both of these teams are locked in for Phase 2. Team Secret has the best record in this group. That will not change, even though Secret has the day off today. I saw them playing ping pong and foosball earlier, so they are clearly enjoying their time off.
Very nice.
As for these teams, though, you want to finish second because then you get to pick your opponent.
Yes.
That is huge. If you think you match up against a team particularly well, let's say you're Space Station, and you demolished OXG yesterday, and OXG manages to make it to Phase 2, you best bet SSG's thinking, why don't we pick OXG again? That should be a relatively free win. You don't want to be at the mercy of somebody else.
We can't pick OXG because they're obviously in the same group, and also OXG would finish 4th if they beat Enterprise
Jesse?
later today.
Jesse? I was making an example of teams that would be familiar for the people who watch this.
Oh.
Also, I say this with the whole heart.
Mm-hmm.
I hate you.
Important to win this game. You get first overall choice, even of the other second places in the group, just because of how well both of these teams have done so far. So there is a lot on the line, and Space Station have been looking so good to make that happen. They get defensive side start, by the way. This is their pick, and FLUXO W7M decided they wanted the attacking half first, sometimes considered a very difficult side here on Cafe. So we'll see what tricks they've got up their sleeves. For now, the top floor defense looks very standard for FLUXO W7M. Their attack on that defense, at least. There are a couple of players they got to worry about, most notably Faults lurking down below in Fireplace. But for now, this push on the piano windows and in through the red hatch has been all the focus for FLUXO W7M.
Again, in the map preference rankings for these teams, this is 8 of 9 for FLUXO. They've got a winning record on it. They played it against Team Secret and did win 8-6 just yesterday, but a much better map statistically for this SSG team, and they are already off to the races. No, they've lost Newer, so we are back to a tie game. Even the Observer is struggling to figure things out. 3v3, Palu and Dodes so far with the 2 kills. Dodes gets shredded by Benja. See, he isn't cooled off at all. Fultz is also in on the board, and it's Loban, the superstar from the first half of Border, left to clutch out a 1v3. He has picked up the defuse kit and will now need to gingerly walk it over towards the bomb site. His position given away as he now throws out a track stinger caught by the magnet of the deceased Wamai. Loban is waiting for Benjamaster to get a little bit restless, but Danish people are pretty patient, Jesse. Benjamaster showing exactly how patient he can be. Americans, not quite so patient. And there's Ashen to swing and then immediately go to the shouting. Space Station starts off their own map, 1-0.
Yeah, well, 9 players played relatively standard through that first round of Cafe, Parker. It was the captain of SSG, Fultz, who started to make those moves that really caught FLUXO off guard. He starts down below, hits that Nitrocell, of course, right here onto Dots. They had no idea he was there. And then later on, Fultz flanks up the white stairs to get a second early pick in the midst of that push. I don't think FLUXO W7M were really expecting that style of aggression. It's not like Fultz to go out and make those crazy style of plays. Of all the ridiculousness that you have on the Space Station team, Fultz is often the adult in the room, the 25-year-old world champion who can kind of lock down the site, play a bit more standard alongside J90. But if he's tasked with going for a flank, with getting a little crazy, if that's what he decides is the most likely outcome for his team to get that win, then hey, why not make that play? It certainly worked in round 1.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds to insertion.
Have you been tuning into any of the Stream A matches, by the way?
Yes, of course. Been watching them whilst we've been off throughout the day as I prep.
For those that are unaware, FearX and M80 are currently squaring off on Stream A. Spoilers inbound for those of you that gripe about it. The first map was a bit of a shocker. BNK FearX won with a big lead over M80, prompting one of the most vocal Fabian timeouts that we've seen just yet.
Yeah.
To the point where he said, "You're playing like 5 gold players in ranked."
Mm-hmm.
A devastating insult. For me, a compliment, because it means I play like M80. But FearX need this to survive. It seemed like a foregone conclusion at the start of the day that BNK FearX would be the team to go home in Group A. It's still possible. M80 won map 2, so now map 3 between them. A great start here for Space Station now is let's turn our attention as FLUXO W7M works their way in, and they've all been collapsed upon. 4 kills from Space Station with nary a point of damage being done to the North American team. They know Dots' location over towards Cigar. They'll have a little bit of saving grace from those track stingers to prevent a late flank, but there is a mirror window staring him down from inside of Cocktail. I'm getting distracted by the typing in chat. We should be muting them. I don't want to see what Newers and them have to say.
I do. Please don't mute them. Dot's an unwinnable position, Parker. I mean, 1v5. SSG looking so confident and willing to play aggressive. It was another Nitro Cell from Fault. It's going to be another 2-piece unless he can find the third in the 5v1 from him. It feels like the second FLUXO W7M showcase where they want to enter the building, give off a hint of where they might be trying to play around. SSG swarm around that location, and they start to shut down the initial entry. It's a good shot by Dots to start things off. Doesn't need a shield to hit that shot, but there are plenty more for him to try to find. Nobody even to the right of him in piano, so watching for nothing at the moment.
Really just prolonging the inevitable at this point. Like, surprised that SSG isn't asking him to move any faster.
He's got Kid, but it's impossible to go to site because obviously they have full vert for SSG, so...
Oh, my goodness. At least the chat is entertaining, as this round is just Dots shooting as many of his bullets as possible. I mean, they're going to keep giving him kills. Why not? Jane, I know, gets the very final one, and it's 2-0 for Space Station.
Palu has, on occasion, been accused of being a slight baiter over the years, not by me, but by others. And
I've never said it.
I've never said it either.
SSG is saying it in chat right now.
SSG have.
You can't see it, but they are saying it in chat right now.
And yeah, I think they're kind of hitting the nail on the head in terms of the slow pace by FLUXO W7M. In the 1v5, I don't really think it's valid. I mean, there's nothing you can do at that point to try to win the round fast or slow. It's not really going to change the result of things. Early on, though, it really feels like they're just struggling to get any map control inside the building. You'll notice SSG, they started top floor, they then went reading, which is not a popular bomb site in 2026, then went mining and dining now here for their third site rotation. And I wonder if part of the reason why they don't want to play that bottom floor is because they have identified in their prep that, hey, it's going to be easiest if we stop FLUXO from getting into the building, and if we play that bottom floor, they kind of get in the building for free. You really aren't going to be able to contest them from entering in through the top floor if you've got all 5 guys down on the kitchen site. So interesting to see if they will eventually bring out that bottom floor bomb site from SSG, or if this really is a strategy of, hey, let's just contest them top floor every single round.
If we do need a designer, Consulate is on deck. That will be another map that statistically favors Space Station. There's not been a lot of good here from FLUXO W7M through these 2 rounds. Again, with this being Space Station's map, the assumption is that FLUXO W7M wins 3, maybe 4 rounds on the better side before Space Station does something similar. But again, those numbers change if a team is locked in. Space Station certainly looks locked in at this point in time. The Newers with the opening pick through both rounds. He was searching for another on-white window. They will not give it to him.
Again, the attempt here is to stop them from dropping in and entering into the building. Benja is very far down at the bottom of these red stairs, likely being able to get a little bit of information as to where the drones are coming from. Seems like they've got a ping onto Ashen playing inside the bar. Ashen aware of that, knows he's about to face heavy fire, so just drops off the balcony to play in towards the mining site, get back with his team. Jan, I know, hoping to impersonate his captain as he's got a C4 potentially lined up if they step foot inside piano. Dots is here already, but standing on the hard floor, shouldn't have to deal with those nitro cells. Stalled out briefly by Newers with the Toxic Babe, and top floor is theirs.
A nice fall off from Space Station. Half of the round in, you held map control for as long as you need. You've managed to waste some time. You've used some of your own utility. And Jane, I know, has almost died, but beyond that, an ultimately successful hold of that top floor. And now the job becomes bring the diffuser down and maybe get an opening pick. Typically on a map like this, the tertiary bomb site is where you're going to be weakest. Space Station are hoping that's not the case. FLUXO W7M hoping it is.
Good soft breach work being done by Palu. He's gotten quite a few angles. He actually had an angle on default, although he wasn't able to actually see the Malusi standing down below him in reading. They're even using these Ash charges to rip up the floorboards. There is nowhere to stay if you're SSG. Nothing is safe. You've just got to be constantly moving. A couple of their players rotate all the way down to the bottom floor. In fact, most of their team, just because there's no place to play on the mid floor.
And this is going to be a coin flip late in this round. Every single step that this FLUXO W7M team has taken has been designed to narrow those numbers down so the execute gets a little bit easier. Volp's on the board first. Fultz answers back. The Blackbeard will drop on in. Hatch control still there for this FLUXO team. Now SSG will find themselves with their backs against the wall. J9O slaughtered. FLUXO doubling up on Space Station. Ashen and Newers need to hold this one together, and they will not get the job done. A Herculean effort from Lobin in particular. Very little to celebrate for this FLUXO team, but they've got on the board, and that's what you need to start a comeback.
I think it kind of goes back to what we've been discussing through this match, Parker. It feels like SSG, they're winning when they can stop FLUXO W7M from entering in through the map. But once they get that control, once they can cement themselves above the bomb site, that's when FLUXO start to find their success. They rip up every single one of those floorboards. 3 players on SSG were technically on the bottom floor. Some were on staircases for sure, but only 2 of their 5 players remained actually in the site because there was nowhere to play. Anywhere they tried to sit themselves, they were under threat from the sledge that was playing up above, from the Ash that was playing up above. You'd hope that maybe the pulse coming out from J9O would be able to counter that, but with him taking so much damage earlier on in that round, it just wasn't really realistic. So good round from FLUXO W7M. SSG will complete a full 4-site rotation as they do go to the bottom floor for round number 4, but keep an eye on that kind of as we develop through rounds 5 and 6. If Space Station Gaming can continue to lock them out of that top floor, they might continue to win. If FLUXO W7M can situate themselves in the building, that could be their key to victory.
Just working their way down the building. Why not?
Yeah.
Started at the top, now we're here. I think the song goes the other way.
Yeah. Not usually a good thing to start at the top and end up here, but I think not bad for SSG.
Demotion.
Yeah, slightly.
Usually you want to go up.
Yeah.
Newers gambling on another first blood. He's got 2 of the 3. W7M struck first, or FLUXO W7M struck first on the previous round, but it was an immediate trade, so nothing really gained from that. And again, it came with almost no time left in the round. 29 seconds left in the round when we saw the first bit of blood spilt. Need a quicker pace for FLUXO W7M. They did try to be a bit brisker in rounds 1 and 2, and they paid for it, so maybe composure is more important than aggression at this point in time, but why not have both?
Well, Volp walks over the footprints of Ashen, who is just here at top red. He popped that hatch, was looking for a nitro cell. Got a bit of information when he initially didn't see anybody on that hatch, but of course, when W7M FLUXO reached that roof and they realized the hatch was already opened, they'll know that somebody was up on the top floor. As we talked about a few hours ago, Parker, in our first best of 3 that we casted, this bomb site has really developed to where the main meta is just to have 5 players down on the site. We don't see a lot of roam strategies, and if you do see a roam strategy, it's usually just one person kind of trying to get something cheeky. That's what Ashen was going for with the nitro cell. Didn't end up committing it, so he still got that C4 that's sitting in his pocket. But as the top floor is fully controlled by FLUXO W7M, and as they've got over 90 seconds to start ripping up these floorboards, you've got to wonder, is this going to look like round 3 where with vert control, FLUXO kind of ran away with it?
Yeah, I get a bit worried. This is a full clear from FLUXO W7M. Smart reason for that, and
they don't want it open?
They have made a decision to leave that closed.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, they don't have any more hard breach, so they can't reverse that decision now.
And I don't know if this was the right call. Fultz takes down Palu. That's kill number 1. No trade in response. Dot's taking some damage as he continues to charge forward. Dode's gunned down. J9O is off the board. Volps will find Fultz. So at least the guns are working well, but the trade's favoring Space Station with very limited time remaining. FLUXO W7M at a bomb site that they have yet to encounter here. Multiple bomb sites will open up at the tail end of this round, so Space Station will have an opportunity to go somewhere else, and they will just continue to beat them. That was not the reaction you want from Dots. Volp's walking in, and he trades it perfectly. Newers gets the kill, though, in the trades, obviously still favoring Space Station. 3-1 the scoreline. SSG doing mighty well here on Cafe.
Just baffled still with what we saw over on the freezer hatch. Dots went to open it, and then it seems like he either got a call from his captain, like maybe Dodez said something. I don't know exactly what happened, but made the decision to shoot it off. There's no way it was a mistake. Like, it was such a deliberate shot onto the can opener. But then that allows Ashen to just sit inside a freezer where he gets 2 kills. You can't really play that position if the hatch is open above you. So if they open up that hatch, maybe Ashen's not allowed to play down there. It maybe could make the post plant a little bit better if the defenders retake the top floor. But, I mean, post plant's not really in the conversation if you don't plant the diffuser. So, end of the day, interesting push coming out from FLUXO W7M. The white stairs push maybe was all they thought they needed. It did not go that way, and it ends up being Spacestation taking a lead by 2. Round 5 to go over to Reading, which just unlocked. Top floor still remains an option. I expect that to be the choice for round 6, but they've kept it very tricky with the bomb site selection on SSG.
Yeah, there's something we obviously missed in their calling, right, as to why they wanted to leave that closed. It was a spirited effort, but maybe they were worried about a flank and they didn't want to open it up. Maybe they saw the way the freezer was. Maybe they thought VIP wasn't being held all that well. Maybe they thought they could commandeer whiskey and instead go into the freezer, leave that closed, and not play or relinquish control of that top floor. I'm not certain. This is where the benefit of co-streams would come in, and there are a bunch of co-streamers right now who I'm certain will have a read or at least a better suspicion as to what happened. Or we can ask the former pro who's here, Peggy, see what he has to think. But either way, there was a call that was made by FLUXO W7M. Maybe it wasn't the best call for them to make, but that's ultimately not up for us to decide.
Good angle being held by Volps. He's playing against the Pixel Shield. That's J90 tucked into the corner, who's hoping to stay alive and keep his head. With these magnets, he should be able to persist in this position for quite a bit of time. One of the strong Wamai positions that you can play in Rainbow Six Siege is just behind this shield. You see him tossing out these magnets now. Red control under the ownership of FLUXO W7M. J90 not alone either. You see Newers up there on the top floor to help him out. Ashen is inside a cocktail as well, so it's a 3-man hold of the top floor. Benja, of course, sitting in the site, and then Faltz is in small bakery right now. He's all the way on the bottom floor, looking to flank up red. They could catch this from the hatch. They might have a drone down there, but if Faltz times this well, he could also do something really, really bad for FLUXO.
Volts is having a great game right now, leading the team. Benjamaster spotted by Loban through that hatch.
What an
he
angle.
might be able to secure this. It is indeed quite an angle. Both nades go down. Both miss. So Benja is now retrievable. They will have to go get him. Out comes the secondary pistol. Loban finishing off his kill. Now it's J90 on the board. Loban dies to Jack, who's hit the flank upstairs. Secondary shotgun out. There's another flank coming in as well. J90 has the attention over towards Piano. Newers dies, but Jack finds a third, a fourth now. Only Dots remains on the side of FLUXO, and J90 is in such a good position. Dots will get off of the position himself. Now over towards the 2 sites as he's walked down white stairs. SSG again showing great patience, good restraint. Dots with the swing on over, losing most of his HP. Down goes Ashen, and tucked into the corner, he will attempt the plant. J90 still holds this position from above. Fultz and him will have to make some magic happen. They need to waste time too. 20 seconds left. They can win this off of the clock, but Fultz will deny J90 the ace. He doesn't care. The goal is to win the round, and SSG meets expectations.
Yeah, start to finish. That was brilliant play coming out from the 23-year-old from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. J9.
Sorry, where?
Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Bless you.
We'll get a FLUXO W7M tack timeout. Playing behind that shield is one of the oldest positions in the book, Parker. Just a pixel shield set up with the Wamai. It's such a classic strategy. But as they start to ignore him, as they start getting distracted a little bit by Faltz down on that red stairs flank, by the position of Benja down and through the hatch inside a pillar, no eyes were really trained his way, so he's able to get a couple kills, work his way through Piano to be able to get a couple of those kills. And then even in the 2v1, I think a lot of lesser players, newer players, maybe would have been really hungry for that ace. They would have kept peeking through the floorboards. They would have kept trying to get that final kill onto Dots. But if J90 plays aggressive there and he loses the vertical gunfight to Dots, it puts Fault in a really losable position in the 1v1 where all of a sudden SSG could have thrown that away. It was so smart from J9O to just sit back, stay alive top floor, say, I'm going to trust in my positioning. I'm going to stay alive so that I don't screw my captain in Faults. And he really played that perfect start to finish. Doesn't get the ace, but I think his passive play is the correct decision in that round.
One thing I think that we're overlooking is how Lobin is running headfirst into better roamers than he can entry. So much of this FLUXO W7M team relies on Lobin overpowering the roamers if he's attacking or mobbing the attackers if he's defending. But Lobin is 1-4 on entry.
Yikes.
The only positive entry player is Dodez, and I mean, those have mostly been kills on defense. Space Station Gaming are positive on every single player on entry right now. So if Lobin is trying to get into the building and is repeatedly getting shut down, or if he's roaming and is getting repeatedly beaten by the attackers, that is putting FLUXO W7M at a disadvantage, but it's also stealing away one of their greatest benefits, which is their aggression and the ability for Lobin to make space for the rest of this team. Lobin's numbers are quite poor across the board. He's -2 at the moment. -2 in this matchup. Lobin is +15 across the entire event. So it just goes to show you how well Space Station is meeting his aggression and beating him, and it's knocking the rest of this team off stride.
The first half will end on mining and dining. That's our final sight, and it's a bit of a different look for SSG. I'm really intrigued by Fault on this Echo. Of course, he's got some of those yokais around. We saw them in towards Garage, but the Yings are coming through too. Dodez is starting to make some space with this sledge, works his way into Pillar, and while all eyes are on the Ying, he could find something.
That's a good entry from Lobin, so there you go. He's managed to turn that one around. The timeout seemingly paying off as Lobin finds a second kill. Maybe he just needed a bit of a pep talk. Dodez was looking for yet another kill as Newers and Ashen are on the run. Ashen has emerged. You heard his secondary gun doing some damage. Newers swings, and you know that both Ashen and Newers can do some work if given the opportunity. Dot's getting diffuser down. Palu there to cut the cross. Newers in no man's land. The objective surrendered by Space Station, and Newers has a daunting task ahead of him. Get to the bomb site, shut him down. The Palu flattens 2 players, and that is a much-needed round for W7M. Still, the first half goes in favor of Space Station, but this FLUXO W7M team finally showing some signs of life.
Yeah, really nice rush just to end things out, keep themselves alive going into the second half, avoid the brutal 5-1 mountain that they otherwise would have had to climb. And it was a great rush to watch from the top-down POV, Parker, because while all eyes were over towards Dots, kind of near that mining window where he could threaten a plant, he could jump in and make some real problems, it was, I think, Lobin and Dodez who worked their ways around the map in other ways. Dodez getting in through red, then making his way in through Pillar. Lobin instead trying to find his way into Fireplace, in through the window, and then working through Train as well. Those were the angles that weren't being expected by SSG. So many players existing up on that top floor. It was Newers, Ashen, and J9O who were locking down top, but by the time the push came in, they didn't realize that the rush was coming. They didn't have time to react, to go back down to site. Faults and Benja weren't able to keep them delayed for long enough. The 2 site players, the 2 bottom floor players weren't able to do it. Delay that time. So SSG won't get as dominant of a first half. If their pushes look anything like the pushes on Border, though, Parker, I still heavily favor SSG to win this second map.
Oh, absolutely. It's their map. They're on familiar soil. They've looked like the better team across all of the halves that we've had so far. It would be a wonder if Space Station was unable to pull this one out. We've seen crazier things happen, though.
Yes.
And that was a real confidence-inspiring round for FLUXO.
Yeah, I hope it gives them some confidence coming into this next game, because when you and I had a little debate over who the more emotional squad is, I still think FLUXO W7M. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I was right.
FLUXO W7M, we've seen them get in their heads before, and I don't want to see that happen once again. I was expecting this to be a full 5-man anchor with everybody on that bottom floor. There is a little bit of aggression. Dota's in reading, and he does find the opening pick on the Benja, so the aggression does pay off. It's not a roam on the top floor per se, Parker, but this small extension into the mid floor, playing with the Nitro, hearing somebody over towards Pillar Door, has gained them a kill.
Cafe is the second most defender-sided map, only after Fortress, so I mean, there's something that's got to be said to this, right? So SSG will go on the harder side based on the numbers.
That they will, and of course, that is the Loban player getting caught out there from FLUXO W7M and Dots as well. These are the roamers, and we talk about people don't really do this too much. Sometimes it's because getting back to site is so difficult with that hatch still reinforced, but they find one back. Volps answers, and they keep this one even to 3-3. A very weird start to the round for the second half.
Oh, absolutely. 2 TCSGs and the Alda in the hands of FLUXO W7M for the final 2 minutes of this round. Why do I say it like that? Well, because 4 people died in the span of a minute, which again, a bit abnormal on Cafe. I mean, if you did watch the Daystar Falcons match that we casted earlier today, you know how quickly action can break out here.
Wow.
Dotas gets caught looking the other way. It's a double kill for J90 and a fire hose of bullets from Volps as he'll now make his way down to Paulu. Both players now around that red stairs portion of the map. Paulu's worked his way to Whiskey, and Volps will sit inside the bomb site. You've got some Maestro cams up. You want to use those evil eyes as effectively as possible. That usually means living. Volps at this point in time, though, needs to be very wary of Spacestation quickly executing, so he's going to stick on the Alda for the time being and allow the rest of his teammates to watch those evil eye cams. Even if you can't use the Tase ability, the intel is going to be so important.
The last two defenders are pretty spread apart. Paulo all the way over in VIP, while we just see Volps trying to hold on to the site. If the plan is to drop through the freezer hatch, which I think it might be, given on what Ashen is currently working on, then that can be a good crossfire as they go for that drop. But with the problems onto that hatch, the electricity still existing from Paulu, I'm not sure if they'll really have the hard breaching utility anymore. In fact, no. With those first set of X-Kairos not able to clear the claw, you don't have enough X-Kairos to also blow up the claw and the hatch, so that's not possible.
And an immediate jump in. Volps is ready for it, even if he was blinded. Volps likely frustrated with that one. Ashen has found himself in the site, and that's Diffuser surrendered. So now, FLUXO W7M can play a bit more passively. J90 and Ashen to work together in the final 10 seconds, but a good lockout so far from FLUXO W7M. Looking to tighten this one up. J90 gets one more. He's got the defuse kit, but he is as slow as anyone stuck in molasses. And he's a step away, but would he be able to get the diffuser down without dying? Probably not. No matter what, this round seemingly going to FLUXO W7M, and the gap between the teams is now down to a single round.
It's a round of such small things, Parker. Very minor issues that come up between these two squads. It was weird to see FLUXO W7M commit to that roam game. They did get pretty punished, I would argue. Trying to retreat back to site was unsuccessful. Dodes tries to stick around on the Goyo, hard punished by J90. It's a heavy man advantage for Space Station for the majority of that round. But the seconds that they fail to open up that freezer hatch, things start to go awry. They take so long. They stall out for so much time on that middle floor, not knowing if they can make it down that freezer hatch, eventually realizing that they cannot. They just have to guess where the claw is with those 2x Kairos that Ashen had to spare. Wasn't able to find that spot, and so he actually worked his way down white. They managed to make their way kind of in through the bomb site, but it just wasted so much time. The players on FLUXO W7M smartly spread apart, and the clock ends up being their biggest friends. They draw it to 1, as you mentioned, and we're starting to see maybe why some of the SSG attacks haven't been so good in the past. I really like them on map number 1. I actually liked their attack in that first round as well, but falls apart at the last second. Keep in mind, under 50% attacking win rate coming into this game, despite all the success that SSG have had.
Easy things to correct, though, for Space Station, and they still have their timeout, Jesse. So not all hope is lost, even if FLUXO W7M is on the hard, or rather the easy side and the hard side to deal with for Space Station. Just the fragging potential from FLUXO is what really needs to pick it up. You have to go up against players on Space Station who have been doing a mighty good job. Ashen's had a great day. Benja's had a great day. J90 and Fultz are having the best time right now on this map, so lots of threats to deal with. And right now, the fraggers on FLUXO have not been able to stack up very well.
Wow.
Loban dying to J90 is not what you want when I said what I said, and I know that they heard me.
Well, Parker, that's such a smart play because they fake a rush. They show the blitz on the windows, and I was about to criticize. I was about to say, this rush is so obvious. FLUXO are going to recognize what you're trying to do, Fultz, but he's not actually going for the plant there. He tosses the smoke. He shows himself. He baits the Azami to try to get the vert angle, and then everybody on the piano windows gets that free kill. Really ingenious from SSG.
And Fultz is just face-checking everything. I guess on a blitz you can do that. Volps is punished by White Stairs. Again, his reaction is everything you need to see. Spacestation surprising FLUXO with the way that they are entering. Fultz was caught in a crossfire. Dodas pops up, and my goodness, that DMR is so strong. Palu is in as well, and suddenly Space Station's advantage has evaporated.
Just a rat spot, Parker. The small things again. It's a triple kill for Dodas as he puts himself in the best spot possible. Trade it out, and Benja has loads of time to try to make this 1v2 possible. But there's still so much good information on the side of FLUXO 2.
Unsheathing the rifle as he walks now forward, knowing that he can't play it quite so cute with a minute to go. He doesn't have the diffuser, so frags are what's on his mind. It'll be a tie game if FLUXO W7M is able to win this round, and right now they are sitting in an excellent spot to do so. Palu, who's been among statistically the best through these two maps, is still alive, even with a shotgun. He's got that sidearm if need be. Benja just needs to choose which player he wants to fight first. Dots is to his right, and Benja's not going to know this. A nice easy swing for Dots. It got scary for maybe a half second, but a great round for FLUXO, and they tie the game.
This has got to be kind of a frustrating way for things to equalize if you're SSG, because I really think that they're doing a great job on the attack of controlling the movements of W7M. Their first attack, they catch them on White Stairs, they catch them on their rotate back from the roam. This time around, they do a great job, too, of trying to, you know, move those players around by faking like they're going to go for a rush, and they get that kill on the top floor. They get full control of up above, but then they just speed up a little bit too quickly, Parker. Again, it's a small mistake in the mid-round that costs them the round. They don't catch Dodes on the drone. This kill was so genius onto Loban, but then it was the rat spot inside of Reading. They don't check it. They've got so much time, but they're just speeding through their clear. I think the adrenaline is rushing. They're saying, go, go, go. They don't check the corners properly, and because of that, it's FLUXO W7M who take another round win. Good coordination I want to mention quickly too. When Dodas is in that rat spot, his teammates from over inside of Dining are distracting with shots. They're making it so that the Blackbeard of Benja or the Blitz of Fultz can't find those angles. So just so smart for FLUXO W7M to be able to clutch back these rounds. SSG, they're doing some really cool stuff, but it's just not enough in the end.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
Timeout not been called by Space Station. And if FLUXO is starting to get a bit creative with you and you're getting bogged down and your guns are going quiet, you might need to talk to your players to get their heads back in the game. It's a gutsy move by Volps to go fishing, but, I mean, join the growing list of players that have spawn peeked on Cafe today. We saw Shaiko spawn peek the same window 5 times when you and I casted it.
Literally.
We saw Newers trying to spawn peek as well. Add Volps to that list. All terrific gunners, so anything could happen if you get that very first pick. Speaking of first picks, Jesse.
Volts will get one. Bot.
Deploying sensor.
I appreciate the way that these teams go about this.
Yeah.
First blood conversion has been very strong on this map, so there is a high likelihood that this will tip the scales for FLUXO W7M just based on those numbers. And there's no trade to be had. There was a number of first bloods by this FLUXO team. Loban credited with them. No trade back from Space Station. Now that you see Volps get this first pick, what can be done? Benjamaster has gone, unfortunately, quite quiet for Space Station. And it puts them at a disadvantage with half the round still left.
I believe it was the Whitehall window where Benja did go down. So this is going to be an early lead without that sledge. Even if they get the full top floor control, that verticality is not going to be as good. Punished for his crimes, Volps goes down, and Lobin joins him as Ashen's able to walk outside and still find that pick. J9-0 for another.
Is everybody dying? What is going on? Oh, no. Dota's almost completely botched that one. He can make his way back to the site. 9 kills for Dodes, as Paulu and him will now work together to try and throw off these Space Station players with a minute left on the clock. Paulu has a nitro cell, and with that pulse scanner, he can figure out where these SSG players are coming from.
It's been about a year since they changed it, where you can no longer scope in as you're falling out from a jump out, and that's almost punishes Dodes, but thankfully he gets the job done. They're still in a deficit, of course. Trying to make a bit of a sneaky play, but these track stingers from Newers are going to really give the game away, aren't they, Parker? These shots will be heard by SSG if they're anywhere near. Newers is. J9-0's got a third, and Dodes has it all to do.
I mean, there wasn't really where to go up there, right? Who are you going to meet up with? Newers, the final kill, and a nice bounce back from Space Station. They were a little worried, I think so. They're nowhere near as animated, not talking as much. But they regain the lead and are now just 6 minutes away from a 2-0 victory over the Brazilians.
These last couple of rounds, it really has felt like whoever gets the early advantage, if not the opening pick, has ended up with the round victory. It might have been a nice shot coming out from Volps at that opening pick on the Whitehall window, but in the end, it's a really nice clear of that top floor, multiple dimensions happening in through that push. And SSG escaped the third quarter still with their lead intact, although it has shrunk since we last hit that halfway point, since we saw the early lead they gathered in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Next set of operator bans have come through. It was Mira and Grim that are getting removed on each side. The Mira just recently used by Volps to get that opening pick. Otherwise hasn't really been a problem, although she is one of the best operators on Cafe. And then the Grim, of course, always a useful operator. Newers and Ashen have been bouncing around between them on that attacking op. We go down to the basements for the repeat.
Feel like a little bit of silence that's being shown by both of these teams, usually quite animated. Space Station in particular is going to show you where they think the tides are turning, or if they're turning at all. That was Space Station's first win in this second half. The defenders have a distinct advantage at the moment. Attackers have only won a third of the rounds that have been played up to this point. So things will be tough for Space Station moving forward, but adversity is just a word to this SSG team. Again, the organizations that are present have both lifted a hammer, one in spectacular fashion in Montreal, the other in one of the most stunning fashions in Brazil. Winning the hammers in their home regions is always quite a nice thing to do, and both of them have experienced it. Foltz, the lone remaining player on Space Station, part of that core. Nobody on this FLUXO W7M team lifted that hammer, as all of those players went over to Furia, who had a bit of an interesting matchup earlier today against Wildcard. So Brazil against NA today might not be what they had hoped for.
And he's gotten a lot better over the last couple of years, I think, in respect
I would agree
to the comparison. They're really trying to get this guy out of small bake. This has been a disaster trying to get this player out. It's been very awkward as Lobin just keeps using his utility. It's the magnets, it's the impacts, it's everything. They want this wall open so they can pressure Bakery, but Lobin has just been keeping it shut.
And what's going on with main Bakery right now? Is there somebody watching it?
Oh yeah, we got the glass being brought out by Ashen. A direct take from SSG. It's very obvious this is not going to be top down.
Can you just not walk in and fry this guy in small bake? What is going on? Why have you allowed Lobin to persist in this angle? Volps and Paulu both did have their sights now turned in that direction, so maybe Space Station is worried about that. But earlier on, it didn't look like FLUXO had anybody holding it.
Well, there's footholds on the prep wall, Parker, and I think it was being held by Paulu, so the Capital Bolt's a better option. They use it now, and it almost kills Lobin. Finally, they get the job done after 100 seconds.
I know this might seem silly with the way that Lobin just died, but that was really quite a terrific hold by FLUXO W7M. He ate up Selmas, he ate up smokes, he ate up fire arrows, he wasted so much time. Lobin doesn't get a kill for it, but he might have just set up the remaining 4 players on his team for success.
Yeah, could have done everything he needs to do. Now we see Volps in a power position. It's really tough to get him out of here. And how many nades did they use? How many firebolts did they use? They don't have a lot of utility left to clear out this Maestro.
Upside down repel for the Glass. Volps might be living on borrowed time as they've got a good read on his position. Ashen will be feeding that intel. Logic bombs have gone off to determine the location of these defenders, but SSG is really running tight on time. 35 seconds remaining. Boys, you've got to go at some point. The timer is working against you, not FLUXO W7M. Volps will now start to fire away as he's still in a very strong position. Down goes Foltz to Palu. J90 dies to Dots. The clock will be the biggest adversary as Loban might have just won them the round from this position. Ashen with 1 kill. Desperation setting in for SSG as he continues to assert himself. Looking for an opening. Diffuser goes down, but not in the way you'd expect. Benja stands against 3 players as it looks to be a tie game, and the clock will give it that. 4 players survive. Space Station running out of time on that one, and honestly, all credit to Loban for that round.
Yeah, I mean, it's nearly a perfect defense to come out from FLUXO W7M. You give credit to Loban, and I think rightfully so. His utility in small bake was perfect, but such a team effort. You don't win that round just off of Loban. You've got to have Volps also being so passive and patient back behind the bakery, Parker. He's got to sit still. If he dies to the Glass 30 seconds earlier, that whole round could end up crumbling, but he doesn't. You've got to have Palu and Dots holding the long angles in the hallways and holding those footholds on the prep wall to make sure that SSG are too afraid to walk in and take that space in bakery. And Dodez, sure, he was giving good moral support as well, watching the back of the site and seeing nobody. So everybody on FLUXO W7M contributing, having a good time in round 10, and they equalize. 2 rounds are all they need now to force that third map, and a situation that looked like it was going to be an SSG clean 2-0 might not actually be headed that way.
Anything can happen. But what we do know will happen, Jesse, is that it's my favorite round in all of Rainbow Six Siege, because no matter what happens, we go to map point, but it might also be series point if SSG can squeeze this one back.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Entering has been mighty tough for Space Station across all 4 attempts. J90 continuing with his great play. He's gotten some very high-value picks. Almost all of those 13 frags on the side of J90 have been incredibly impactful. He will need to keep that up, but it's not all up to him at this point in time. It's the rest of them. Newer's numbers underwater. Benja's numbers underwater. They have been getting beaten on this map, and after Benja put such a hurt on FLUXO in the previous map, it's a bit of a step back for him. He'll be playing some of those disruptor/nuisance ops to enable Space Station to get into the building, and this is pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Benja on his favorite role, lurking down below. The Pulse is about to spot him, though, and that's going to give the game away. Benja's position will now be known by Dots. That makes him a whole lot less impactful. They do have an IQ, so they've got some counters to the Pulse, but Parker, this feels like a freebie for Dots. Benja might have the information. Here's the shots now at the very least, and will make his escape. So could have been disastrous, but no harm, no foul.
And Loban and Palu have both taken a bit of damage. That might be a bigger factor as you go deeper into this round. Logic bombs going off. Waiting on the last one to generate. Benja using his utility so well. A nice shot from Palu, almost dying. Benja going down means no more logic bombs. And this will be tough for Space Station with no more of these enabler ops.
Kind of takes away that second dimension too, right, Parker? A lot of this push now just coming in through red, just trying to work on the piano windows. They've gotten a bit of space inside of Cigar, not finding any bodies yet. Very passive on the side of FLUXO W7M. That nade doesn't move Volps out of his position. It's a little bit poorly placed. The Nitro also doesn't land, even with the pulse down below, doesn't find that kill.
What is going on? All of these SSG players just running headfirst into FLUXO. They are demolishing the North American step by step. Newers and Ashen last 2 alive, but Newers is making something work. He's found 2 kills relatively quickly. You got a good read on where the Azami of Volps is as well, and Newers is looking to follow up on that. He's missed an opportunity over towards Lumber and will now drop down towards Pillar. As you can see, all 3 of the FLUXO silhouettes in that spot. Ashen taking out Palu, but Newers was in on the action as well. Reading is the focus.
So doable, Parker. Even with information from Dots, he can't really pull out the scanner at this point. 2v2. They've got site control. Information there for the defenders too, and it's Volps to open.
He's trying to get the plant down, but there's a bulletproof camera staring right at them. I don't know if they've shattered it or not, but a nice read by FLUXO W7M as map 3 just got incredibly more likely. Map point for the Brazilians.
Feels like SSG were almost reliant on Benja doing something from down below there, Parker. It felt like they really needed him to be able to find something, but it was too powerful. That pulse ended up shutting him down. So once you've got that shut down from above, SSG, not a whole lot they can do here. Call out calls the attack.
You pretty much saw what you're looking at. Take the outside fast. Cross with pace and what so if they are fucking stay out, let's start with talking some of the things outside that, we're in control.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
You know what? I think the most important thing he said there, Parker, was exactly when Call, the coach of SSG, went.
My favorite part was
That was part 2. That was smart too. Honestly.
and then Fultz went, mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
And then I think I heard like a, yeah.
This is a critical round for SSG. If they can't lock down their final attack here in regulation, then we're going all the way to map 3. Consulate awaits us as the decider if it's needed. Space Station will have to get it done in overtime if they want the 2-0. Doesn't matter standings-wise whether they get this 2-0 or 2-1. Either way, the winner of this matchup will be second place in the group, and either way, they will be the first-ranked second-place team. That means they get first overall selection of their third-place opponent. If you don't understand all that, just know it's important to win. FLUXO W7M can easily crush the dreams of SSG. They were looking so good early on in this game. It felt like they had the full momentum. Maybe things were starting to spiral for FLUXO W7M. But after a few small mistakes happened on SSG's early attacking rounds, the round count got closer and closer, and now with a lead, they could do an insane thing here by beating the Astronauts.
I mean, if you think that the defenders have a better advantage on Cafe, which I think they do, and this is SSG's map, which as far as we're aware is true, FLUXO opted to go to the harder side first.
They did.
That is, I don't want to say abnormal, but it doesn't happen all that often. Dots goes for the run out.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, what the hell just happened? Excuse me?
Shenanigans, Parker, on round 12, map 2, potential point to get out of it. It was a run out from Dots, a small bake at the exact same time. We saw Volps jumping out, getting his way outside of the building, Lobin jumping out. I don't know if Volps actually did jump out. He was playing inside of VIP down on that first floor over by Garage. I'm pretty sure he made the run out happen over there. All of those aggressive moves get caught by Space Station. They lose their Blackbeard because of it, but I think they'll happily take that trade. Only 2 remain now to try to find and force OT.
Track stingers will go as Dota sits underneath that hatch. Newers will not overstay his welcome, but there you go, kids. That's why you put shadows on as high as possible. You just saw the head of one of those attackers. If you've got shadows on low, you're not seeing those. Dodez tries to head for the hills. He absorbs an awful lot of damage, and Space Station are poised to send us to overtime. This would be quite a feather in the cap of the team that has come out of nowhere.
No, the track stingers killed him
in the last couple rounds. I have been so shocked. Palu in a 1v4. 1 minute left for Space Station to get into this site. Diffuser in hands for J90. Palu is a read over towards Cigar. He'll do some serious damage. Ashen will get the job done, and we will go to OT between these teams. Space Station breathing a sigh of relief, I'm sure.
That's going to be a round that replays in the heads of W7M tonight if they don't manage to win this map and then force that third. It's a really risky decision. It's Dots out here running out of Bakery. At the same time, Volps is running out of Garage. At the same time, Lobin is jumping out of Piano. A 3-man exit of the building, and every single one of them gets punished in the chaos. SSG, whether they were expecting that with drones, it didn't look like they had any prior information as to what was going on, but the reactions were really clean. Possible that they had some early information as well that signaled to them something aggressive was going to happen. In any case, SSG managed to force that overtime. They get exactly what they were looking for. And now, Parker, because this is their map pick, they get to choose the start side in overtime. So, of course, they'll choose to start on the better side. They'll choose to start on defense. We saw them go to all 4 bomb sites in the first half when they went through the rotation. And they'll be mining and dining to start things off in round 13.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Well, I mean, you've got the better side for OT, so you just need to play the long game. You just need to survive long enough to get here. I mean, the goal is usually to do it before you need overtime, but sometimes things don't always go according to plan, and that's what we are witnessing right now. Spacestation will go back to very strong defender positions. The defenders have a great advantage so far. Both teams going 4-2 on their defender halves. That would be 2-1 in their defender quarters.
Did it work out that way?
Since I know that you love that number.
It did.
I mean, I don't even know if that's true. I know it's true in the sense that
Yeah.
the numbers line up, but I mostly just say it to antagonize you.
It could be a 3-0 quarter and then a 1-2 quarter.
It could be. Not a strong start for FLUXO W7M. Dodez, tied with Paulu for top on the team, is the first to die. That's the Zofia gone. That's explosives, long-range explosives gone. That's the disruption and the intel that comes gone. And they'll lose the IQ of Lobin as Foltz is playing inside a cigar. How do you not drone that?
I mean, Parker, it just seems like such a risky game plan for FLUXO W7M. Last round and this round, the information is not there. They're going for very high-risk maneuvers. Somebody playing inside a cigar is not that crazy. You know there's a mute jammer there. Maybe you can't drone him, but the bomb set is mining and dining. There's almost certainly going to be somebody playing in that position. So we're just getting a little sloppy. We're maybe getting a little ahead of ourselves, maybe in our own minds if we're FLUXO W7M. This is where the mental really gets tested. Overtime at the Six Invitational, it doesn't get higher pressure than this.
On the line is second place in this group. Secret's triumphant run through the group stages has netted them first. They don't play today. They don't need to. They can watch all the rest of these games from the comfort of their cozy hotel rooms. Another body will fall for FLUXO W7M, leaving a 2v5 for the Brazilians. They put on quite the clinic to bring this one back and then ultimately take the lead, but they've fallen a bit short now and allowed this SSG team to level up. Newer's deciding to go for an ego peek onto Paulu when you don't really need to with a minute left. And then immediately Newer's, you don't really fool with anybody. You talk in the chat shortly thereafter. Bolts gets gunned down by Dots. You need good patience here because this is still winnable. Dots and Paulu can absolutely seal the deal. SSG needs to refrain from over-peaking for the next 45 seconds, and this should be a surefire round win. Dots has made this even, though. This is just a lack of proper discipline from Space Station, and now it's FLUXO W7M taking the lead. Defenders have such an advantage, and SSG have dropped that. Ashen will need to clutch. He does a serious amount of damage to Dots. Paulu is not too far away. They're inside the bomb site, Jesse, with the defuse kit. FLUXO can play this so well. They just need one player to watch the cross, and Paulu will get the job done. SSG throw the round in the garbage, and the Brazilians take the lead.
1v1 after 1v1 after 1v1 after 1v1. Parker, that was supposed to be SSG locking things down, and the chat is blowing up as FLUXO W7M have some words for Newers.
Every member is typing on the side of W7M. That is crazy, and it really all started with Newers. Why are you engaging there? It's a 2v5. You've got the clock on your side. Yes, you have to be worried about soft destruction, but why are you challenging them? Where is the patience we've seen from SSG when they've been in situations like that? You have to start peeking them when there's only 2 of you left. We know that, but it confounds me.
I mean, Newer's caught on the vert angle. That's the first one that ends up going against their way. Then they catch one on the white stairs. And from there, I think at that point, you need to think to yourself, okay, hold on, lock in. Don't let the 2v3 spiral out of control. If you lose 2, fine, whatever. You're still in the man advantage. But J9O is so far from the rest of his teammates. We don't see it, but Benja dies despite being right next to Ashen. There's no trade that can come through. We talked about round 12 haunting the nightmares of FLUXO W7M tonight. Well, SSG will be thinking about that for quite a while. If they do lose this map and go on to lose Consulate as well, they'll have to go back-to-back. Otherwise, we are heading to a third map in this series.
I think saying that Newers got caught on the vert angle is quite uncharitable. He decided to re-engage on the angle and then immediately start typing in chat. He got hit above his head by the sledge. The floor blew away. He ran away and then came back. It is a bit surprising that he chose to play it the way he did. I am surprised. I understand that you got some egos in esports, but you're in a 5v2. A team does not win the 2 aspect of a 5v2 without some help from the 5. There's just no way that happens. If you're SSG, you just blew the greatest advantage you had, which is that you got to defend twice. That should have been a surefire win. Now, the likelihood is FLUXO W7M will win this, and we go all the way, which frankly is great from a viewership perspective, but it's just so astonishing from a gameplay level.
Well, I don't expect another bakery take coming through from SSG. Last time, that was such a disaster for them. They almost have to go top down at this point, and we're looking at the op lineups. Of course, you've got the striker on Newers. You've got the Ram from J9O. This will be a full top-down clear. Don't expect any fights to happen earlier on in this. I like the Dokkaebi call. That's going to speed things up. And Benja, he actually finds Lobin going for a peek on the small bake window. It's the same position he was playing on the Wamai Parker. This time, though, he's a bit more aggressive, and he gets hard punished.
You still got a read on this Goyo. It'll be ACOG versus ACOG. Dodes wins the engagement. He takes some damage in the process. Benja knew that was coming. Sometimes you just got to flip a coin and you lose the duel, and whether that has a greater impact on the round remains to be seen, but man, oh man, poor Benja.
Freezer Hatch gets frozen by the Tubarao, which is going to stall things out, but it's better than the last time we were in this situation where the Electroclaw denied it entirely. Eventually, Ashen should be able to get that hatch open, and it just did pop as we heard the sound cue now. Working his way on white stairs, the top-down control will be vital for SSG to win this one. Dots in VIP is going to be my main focal point, Parker. Can they clear him out? Because if not, this drop through the Freezer Hatch to try to get a plant down will be impossible. Volp's trying to assist from Whiskey. Oh, he's seen him.
I think you saw the gun at the bottom. Hopefully Ashen has seen it, because if not, he's about to be in for a rude awakening. Stacked up looking for the freezer drop. This round has only 30 seconds left, and there they go. J9O inside of freezer. Do not get cold feet or you will lose the plot. See Azami Apollo watching this angle now. He's going to get ever closer. Do they know? Yes, they do. A good read by Space Station. They're trying to lock out VIP as the diffuser has walked on in. Ashen falls. Nitro Cell goes out. It downs J9O, and it gives Dots an opportunity to walk right in. Fult's caught with his pants down. Newer's now in a 1v3, and Dodes sends us to map 3. FLUXO W7M stick the landing in OT. Oh my goodness, Jesse.
A couple unbelievable rounds at the end of that map, Parker. I'm not sure how things went the way they did, but in the end, the mental's a little bit better for FLUXO W7M. What a performance from the captain of Dots just at the end, playing VIP. They weren't able to clear him out of that position. I said to watch him before the execute, and what a performance he made with the Nitro, with the pistol, stopping the plants. That really solidified it for W7M.
Yeah, great comeback from a great team, and we might just have a best of 3 that'll rival Team Secret versus FLUXO W7M. A spirited performance by J9O on that support-esque role, but the fraggers were a bit of an issue till too late in the game for Space Station. FLUXO W7M did what they needed to do. They outmuscled the North Americans, and we have a third map to settle the score after this.
reinforce off these two walls here. This would be a flex wall. We're gonna put it like this, just so it's like a flex. I don't know, I'm gonna do that. Then positioning, we'd have the two barrel play here with the C4 and like the DMR. You could play between like weed, like the metal area is what we call it. So we can either react to that or the weed wall based off what they're doing. We'd start the Valk. I'll just put it right here so it's easy to see on that side. And then we'd have the Fenrir as the last guy. He'd be here contesting for tool side, really kind of being in the middle there. And this guy as well, like when they're trying to go over that tools wall, I'd have these zombie press stuff unless there's lower pressure, like trying to contest off that door, just being menace a little bit. Not really looking for a pick, but looking for delay time.
Basically for the start, we can put it like that. So I would put him like around these windows. So if we need help to hold or whatever, he rotate. If your zombie really fall back and manage to, like I think it would be around here, right?
She'd be like all the way back. I'd put her like right here probably.
Like the things how it would go as well. Like once we take like the control of garage, I would put maybe the capital around this area.
Yeah,
just to hold this position. Normally they place our jabs and rotate out for the door to help onto the push. I think we would put the Ing here to be playing into the main breach, but it depends on the green take. Like if you're trying to force too much the green take, I would put like the Ing here to come to try to help. But if it's like you're just giving away, trying to fall it back, I would just keep the Ing there.
Yeah.
So like if you guys are just falling back to hold into power positions, I would say that the Deimos can come from below as well to try to help. And as I said, this Hibana here, it will be like a flex. I don't really count on her. It's more to get the Clash attention. If Clash is still here, it's
that's
good.
the biggest thing. I would want the Clash to rotate over and play Ivy. Is like what I'd want originally.
Yeah, so if like the Clash goes back into this side, I would put this Hibana to try to sneak in and play.
The two playing back here is ideally what it'd be.
And then after like dealing with the Clash over here, I think this guy would be already played. So it's like he won his fights as well, or he lost, and then we got the control of this area kind of, and we just cry.
That's assuming nobody dies early. Yeah. Or just swings and gets killed, you know.
Exactly.
Because that's what happens a lot of times in our game. Like
making the capital fire over there, and then
dude,
explode
just.
I'm gonna go call out for this.
Still have the flashes from Hibana.
You do.
It could go either way, frankly.
It could go either way. Very, very close though.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of TOs are scared of you, obviously. We were suspicious because you're too good. Like that was literally what happened. And I'm the one who sent the email. So like, I'm the one who did it, that's the story, right? None of us really thought that you were legit. Back then.
What a surprising conclusion to map number 2, and one that Space Station cannot let haunt them if they want a fighting chance here on map number 3. Cafe Dostoyevsky was a thrilling second map. So what does Consulate have in store for us? The players of the previous map were Palu and Ashen. Palu working so effectively in that 2v5 clutch to break the backs of Space Station, aided a little bit by some mistakes across the board. Everybody on that SSG team, except maybe Ashen, deserves some blame for the way that was, but Palu capitalized. He had some other huge moments, and the big bad Paul Lucifer is back. Jesse, Consulate is up next. What do we have in what is essentially a 15-round shootout? How many do we need? We'll find out. SSG versus FLUXO W7M ends here on Consulate.
A rematch 1 year in the making will conclude on Consulate on the African coast of Côte d'Ivoire. Here on the French Consulate, FLUXO W7M versus SSG. You need to get that previous map out of your head as soon as possible. You can't let what happened on Cafe affect you on Consulate. If you're SSG, I'd say this series still looks good for you. You're 3-0 on Consulate since EWC, beating Oxygen, M80, and Enterprise here at the Six Invitational. So you are comfortable on this map. You also get to start as defense, which I would say after Skyscraper gets removed, this should be the most defender-sided map in our competitive pool. And you're also the best defensive team at the Six Invitational, at least prior to the rounds happening today. They have had some rougher defenses, I think, against FLUXO, so it's been a little bit more difficult for them here on Friday. But generally, Spacestation have been so good at those defenses, you've got to imagine they're feeling confident coming into this last game, assuming the momentum doesn't carry through for FLUXO W7M.
And you want to know something that I'm about to say that you're going to think is absolutely crazy?
Uh-oh.
The lowest rated player in the entire lobby is Lobin.
Wow.
Lobin, who entered as the second highest rated player of any of these competitors, has had a really rough go of it. He had a great start on map number 1. On Border, he was terrific for the first half, and then suddenly fell off as the rest of FLUXO W7M fell off on Border. The triumphant comeback on Cafe Dostoyevsky by this FLUXO W7M team really wasn't because of Lobin. It was because of Dots, it was because of Paulu, and it was because of Dodez. These are his stats. That's J90's stats for the series. So right now sitting at 22 and 14. Jack is doing a mighty good job, Jesse, and is the highest rated player in the entire lobby at the moment, sitting at a +8 KD with a 118 rating. Those are Lobin's numbers right now. As you can see, a 76 EPS is just not going to get the job done. Volps is not that far ahead of him, for the record. So two very surprising players on this team sitting at the bottom. That means it's time for a bounce back here, and that might be worrying for Space Station.
I feel kind of bad for Lobin because I started this cast by talking about how consistent he's been since the start of the Six Invitational, one of the highest cost values that we have for any player here at SI, and now, unfortunately, it seems to fall a little bit below the 75% watermark. So really, for Lobin, things have turned around, but they can bounce back once again. The type of player who can always be trusted to make some crazy things happen, and I'm excited to see what he's got in store for us now that we move on to Consulate. Operator bans, of course, will come on through. Azami and Denari banned out by FLUXO W7M. Denari has been a popular operator here on this map ever since he got added to the pool. We haven't seen it a lot from SSG historically, at least not on that top floor, but it's always a danger that you have to think about, always something worth considering removing. SSG take down the Blitz, they take down the Grim, so leaving a couple of those options off the board for FLUXO. Grim's been a big operator for Dots on this top floor, where he really likes to play those displacement operators. I don't know if that'll change since he has now become the IGL. I'm seeing him hover over a Ying to start with, and we got Volps on the Glaz. So based on that, we could be seeing something that is brand new for FLUXO W7M on the top floor. But minds are changing, and so will the hearts of FLUXO as they swap around some operators. So no shenanigans to start us off on cons.
Loving that Thorn is back in the meta. I would love to know what people think about the Irish operator receiving all of those buffs. Haven't really seen the Thorn much in the post plant. I know that Mint did a video on Thorn, talked about Thorn quite a bit, and basically said that there is a lot of different applications for that Razor Bloom. And I mean, you can kind of use it like a smoke canister or a nitro cell, throw it in. It'll arm quickly and then it'll have time to blow up. But that's not the way teams have been using Thorn. A lot of them times, it's just on extended roams.
Yeah.
Use it for intel. Put it on a window. Put it on a doorway so you don't need to worry about your flank. If somebody enters from another part of the map, boom, Razor Bloom goes off, you know where they're coming from.
Well, J90's got 3 traps still in his pocket as he roams over towards the admin side, and I think he's thinking to himself right right now. If they're going to push admin, I should use them over here. But if they don't, I can kind of keep them and maybe use them in the way you were discussing, Parker, where they're more of a plant denial tool. He's just inside a break room for the moment. There's the Blackbeard and the Aurora as well playing over on the printer window. They will close off that angle and use it as a great way to enter the building. The Tubarão is a good counter. Opens up the Aurora, but it looks like we've seen Volps already get in. Nice little utility gameplay going back and forth to start us off.
Not the first time that we saw the Aurora. There was one present, if you recall, on Cafe. Round number 10, brought by Newers on that bakery executed. It really didn't do all that much. Worth noting that Aurora has access to the 417, aka the best gun in the game. So, yes, the gadget is great, especially on maps like Consulate and Cafe, because it can make it so it paralyzes you. Look at that. There's nothing you can do. You have to wait out your time. They can now go around you, but you've also got a great gun to boot. And it's in the hands of Volps, who is traditionally really good. Newers dies to Dots. He's the first death of this third map. No Tubarão. That's another great gun that's gone. And those Zoto canisters might also have all gone in his pocket. I did not see his utility canister.
This is dangerous. The smoke pops, and it's a Warden on the other side of things. Ashen will use his glasses now as the flash comes out, but misses his shots. The nade he can't see through, still punished by Volps. A great two-man lead as they finally get their way through the vending hall.
Palu looking for his own first target. You don't make it to map 3 without Palu. What damage can he do here? The flames in front of him, he'll soldier through it, taking a bunch of damage in the process. Not that far removed from some of the defenders. They are just out of arm's reach, though. Diffuser going down, flames spreading. Dots has to bail off of that position. Palu dies. Folt's still holding this position, but tracked by the Deimos now down below. And that's Lobin trying to distract Foltz as long as he can. Benja to the rescue. Down goes Dodes. Volps trades it out, and Lobin finally secures his kill as FLUXO W7M are successful on round 1.
That is not an easy push, Parker. That vending hallway had so much utility. It ended up being an admin side push. I wasn't sure if they were going to go that way just based on initial positioning, but the Rauros used really well to close some of those doorways off. It got them into the building through that printer window. Then they managed to pressure out Ashen, who's playing just behind that vending machine, so you've gotten the Warden off the board. It's a two-man lead after the opening pick came out on Newers as well. And then the site execute, which is really clean. I think Faults maybe whiffed some of those Tachanka fire grenades a little bit. You know, they were going over the little half wall that's there that separates that interior balcony area from the actual bomb site of meeting, but they didn't actually stop the plant for quite a bit of time. In the end, the defuse kit was not the final deciding factor. It was FLUXO W7M flooding that site, hitting the shots that they needed to. Volps, the former captain of FLUXO W7M, with 3 kills to really give them the lead and get this opening round.
I would like to talk about a spoiler. Oh. Over on Stream A, BNK FearX has defeated M80 2-1. Now, BNK FearX still goes home because of the points that they have failed to accrue, but that was a nail-biter. Map number 1 was 7-3 for BNK FearX. M80 won 8-6 next map, and then an 8-7 victory for BNK FearX. Literally going blow for blow, pound for pound. That should have been an easy matchup for M80. M80 has shown some struggles here at this event, Jesse. Falcons have as well. Furia 2. FaZe Clan lost to D+ Kia yesterday. All of the giants of this scene have not performed as well as they want. And then there's Weibo.
Yeah.
Weibo are looking like, as of this moment, Weibo and Secret look like the 2 teams to beat at this event. And I am excited to see what they can do in Phase 2.
Well, in this matchup, of course, with the top spot in NA maybe being up for grabs, SSG would like to claim it. Them and Wildcard have been really performing the best, I'd say, of the NA teams at this tournament, but getting over FLUXO W7M would be the first task in really cementing yourself as one of NA's top dogs. Ashen's been eating his drones for breakfast as he was collecting them on yellow stairs. The Nitro barely gets Lobin. It was aiming for Dots, but in the end, you'll take the other shield instead. You're happy for that 1-for-1 trade. Wow, 1-for-0 trade, I suppose, if you don't count the Nitro cell as a person. everybody falling back down to the bomb site now as SSG want to make that retreat. Happy with a one-man lead. They can now just play the staircases. Ashen with these thorn traps will lock down spiral stairs. Most of this push is going to be coming over towards yellow. It's going to be important that they can stall that out either with their 4 nitro cells down to 3 now, or with some of these thorn traps. They've got a lot of utility to try to make sure this push can't come through.
This is the first Thorn that you and I have seen with an M870. I'm sure that there's been a Thorn with that shotgun before, but I mean, one of the biggest buffs to Thorn actually came about 2 months ago, and that was how zoomed in the sidearms are. You could never really run the M870 because the CZ75 was right up against your face, and those iron sights were horrible. But the changes have made the C75 a lot better of a weapon. So now you can use it, maybe not the same way as an SMG-12 or an SMG-11, or even a Bearing 9. But still good enough. So Ashen can play this rat angle with a very powerful shotgun in hand. He'll take some damage from Volps from above, and he's finished off. Ashen has to worry about multiple angles. He's not really retrievable at this current point in time. The Monty will now encroach upon these defenders. What remains will be sent out. Foltz claims Ashen, but that's fine. He gets dots as well. And now Foltz can assume this position over by yellow. Palu is there. Where are you to type in chat Newers? Volps goes down, and oh my goodness, very quickly, Space Station wins the round. I don't know if that's a particularly confidence-inspiring one, but you know what? A round's a round, and they get it all the same.
I think it's fine. They knew they were going to rely on those nitro cells to stop the yellow focus push. There was a lot of pressure from FLUXO to try to make that yellow focus push work. They did have a guy up on the hatch. They did, of course, have Palu coming down through spiral stairs, which was probably the best position that they had as a part of that execute. But at the same time, as they were moving up and they were starting to drop down that hatch, we saw somebody retaking that top floor. We got to see Newers on the Mira rotate up above, play that hatch. So at the moment he takes that position and everybody on FLUXO starts to drop down into the site, it is GG. You cannot get the plant down at that point. So I'm honestly thinking it's a pretty solid round from SSG. Once they get that first nitro, they know to play it passive. They don't overextend. That was part of their issues at the tail end of Cafe, was when they had the man advantage, they tossed them away with 1v1s. They didn't do that in round 2, Parker, and I think that's going to be a big improvement.
We're going to be talking about that throw for quite some time, and it will be especially important if it ends up costing SSG this matchup and then puts them down into a position where they lose their first game in Phase 2. We have only a couple more teams to go home at this point in time. I think just 2 remain. We have to take a look at what goes on in Group C, and I think it's Group D that both need teams to go home, if memory serves correctly. The actual letters associated with the groups are something that I haven't really known. We know that BNK Fearex is going home. We know that Elevate is going home. We're now just waiting to see, is it Black Dragons, Shopify Rebellion, or G2 who go home, or OXG Enterprise who go home? And that OXG Enterprise matchup is soon to come. FaZe versus G2 and Shopify Rebellion versus Black Dragons will be a fascinating set of matches to watch, and I am very eager to see them when we are done casting here. But we got to get through this one first. SSG having a much more successful roam this time around as they've gunned down Dots, and Loban Volps will join. Where is everybody dying, Jesse?
Yeah, across the map, there have been some calamities, Parker. It starts with a pick onto the Blackbeard, which is never a good sign. Ashen's able to get that one. It was a bit of a run out, if I'm not mistaken. He was kind of playing over on the balcony on the top floor, so he gets that opening pick, and just little aggressive moves from SSG across the map, here and there. Somewhat solo plays, but plays that FLUXO aren't expecting, have resulted now in a 4-man advantage. Dodez, typically the primary entry, now last alive. He's got some information, but the hard ping will alert Newers as to where this drone is at. Default cam is shot out, so SSG have got full info too. An impossible task despite all the time remaining, you've got to think.
All Dodez is thinking is, God be good, let's channel Cafe again. Throw your bodies at me 1v1. I believe, please. Lord, I have seen what you did to Palu. Really quite surprised that SSG is going to chat, because I would not be typing after what happened on Cafe, but I'm also not a professional player.
It's important for Space Station to lock down these easy rounds again with their mishaps on Cafe. This vending hall should be impossible, though. Parker,
Yeah.
and there's J90 to hit him in the back. So Space Station regain the lead on our decider map pick. It's going to be important that they do keep that lead, Parker, because Consulate is a pretty defender-sided map. When SSG beat Enterprise back on Monday playing on Consulate, they started with a 4-2 defending half, of course, with those 6 rounds that they played. It was very successful. Their attacks were good, too, admittedly. They went 3-1 on their offensive side to close that game out, of course, 7-3. As the math works out, but Space Station will be playing a better opponent than Enterprise today. FLUXO are a more dangerous team to go up against, so getting that early advantage on the defensive side is even more important. I think a 4-2 is necessary for SSG to walk away with this, but you're hoping to get a 5-1. I mean, 6-0 not doable at this point, but you really need to make sure you're not giving up a 3-3 or, God forbid, a 4-2 favoring the Brazilians.
Yeah, I mean, well, 3 rounds in a row for FLUXO W7M here would be quite unlikely, but we have seen unlikely things happen all the time. If you had asked me 3 hours ago, what do you think the odds are that BNK Fearax would beat M80, I would say 0.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet, here we are. There again. It is a phrase that is said often, but it is true every single time. We play games in the server, not on paper, because sometimes upsets absolutely happen. You can make a very credible argument that this organization on the left side of your screen, when they were known as just W7M, upset that Falcons roster in Montreal. Most people did not have them as the favorites.
Nope.
And yet, they managed to get the job done. So sometimes it just unfolds that way.
A lot of teams have been seemingly upsetting Falcons over the last couple of years, so
It's really hurtful.
sorry.
Just get that dig in there.
Hey, they got a big win over Daystar earlier today, Parker. You and I cast that match 7-1, 7-1. They were looking fierce.
They were playing ranked. Shy Ghost Spawn beat 5 rounds in a row.
What are you trying to say about the quality of players on Daystar?
I don't think Daystar is a bad team. I think they had a bad day. I think
right.
Falcons decided that, hey, this is a meaningful match, but we can maybe take it a bit easier.
FLUXO W7M in for a bad day. If they're not aware of this clash that Faltz was hiding in the prep phase, they're currently working to make their admin push successful once again. That's not really where Faltz has positioned himself. All of these attackers from FLUXO W7M are mostly focused on the east side. We saw a little pressure on the Spiral Skylight as well. Paulu could be doing something a little bit tricky later on, but really the east is going to be the primary point of contact for FLUXO W7M. They have the Rara once again, too, with Volps playing on this operator on the windows, but doesn't seem like he needs it to get into Printer this time.
He managed to take control of the east side of this building now. This is actively being held at the moment by Newers, though, and he will test his luck in that position. The clash of Foltz has been, Foltz on this clash has been quite good so far through this tournament. I mean, he is their primary shot caller. He's there to help them. A great read from SSG to counter the Aurora is to bring impacts and put them in a way where that door would come in. The original Aurora door that they had shot will now have to go yet again as Newers has no more impacts to deal with it.
A little bit awkward. It limits the angles they can play around for this vending hall. It makes it a dangerous crossfire into just a one-way, but
no damage.
Yeah, barely tickling the feet of Faltz.
2 nades used, not to great effect. 1 minute to go, and Foltz now sees 2 players looking for the assist from Newers, but again, it gives you so much strength in this hallway. Another nade will go out, this one doing a tiny bit more, knocking the shield over. They've got their attention, that's for certain, Jesse. They'll finally just swamp them. J90 with 1 kill, an absolute storm inside of this site, going back and forth and back and forth. What even is there to say? There goes half of the server, 2/3 of the server. Volps getting Ashen down. It's Newers and Volps now in a 1v1. 4 kills in the hands of Volps. Newers with 3 kills. Playing that tight angle against a reinforcement with the super shorty. You're testing your luck on that one, Jesse.
This is so awkward. I mean, it favors the defenders for sure, but if this plant finishes, everything switches.
Oh, Newers gets baited out so effectively by Volps. And that's 2 rounds now for FLUXO W7M. That's exactly where you need to be if you're FLUXO W7M. And anything past this is you playing with house money. You have done what needs to be done. Now it is incumbent upon Spacestation to close out this first half.
And honestly, Parker, it was such a smart adaptation coming out from FLUXO W7M because they were pressuring in through admin. They saw a new problem inside of Vending Hall. They saw that clash. They didn't find it in the prep phase because False was hiding. They didn't have the proper tools to deal with it. They didn't bring a Nomad. They didn't bring a Capitao. They try with the nades, but it's just too awkward. They can't find that angle. So what do? They say we're going to rotate players around. We're going to have players hit yellow. We're going to have players hit bathroom. We're going to have, most importantly, somebody walking through top spiral. J90 was supposed to be protecting the flank on defaults. He was the guy that was kind of playing around top spiral, but J90 was distracted by pressure that was coming in through yellow. So there were so many different angles to watch for if you were SSG. It ends up being Dodez who hits that gap just in through the top of spiral, in through reception, gets the back of Faults and cracks that round wide open. Now there's some great shots being hit by SSG to keep that one close. Ashen does his damnedest with the SMG-11 to almost bring that back, but in the end, the 1v2 is too good for Volps, trades out his teammates to get the first one into Ashen, and plays the plant perfectly to bait Newers. What a crazy round that was.
Volps is a smart player. Nobody's ever doubted that. There's a reason why he has been consistently on teams that make it to LAN, and this one is no exception. As we said, he's had a bit of a rough series against Spacestation, but so has Lobin. No surprise that the two main fraggers on your team, who have two of the best stats heading into this game, are now struggling up against really strong gunners. If Benjamaster is on his game, if Ashen and Newers are standing up tall, and if J90 is getting impact kills through the mid-round, as he so much has, you're going to need to be almost pixel perfect. FLUXO W7M clearly has not been. Spacestation wasn't either. On border a few times. It certainly wasn't on Cafe. Now, though, we have seen some really great Siege, and I don't want to take it away from either of these squads, as now we find ourselves in a tie. With still 2 more rounds to go in the first round.
Oh, this is cheeky. Volps is the first to fall, but the bottom floor push is well underway. They've started to make their way now through constructions. Dots is here on the Monty. They were really deep before SSG realized what was going on. They had Faults on the pulse, but he wasn't able to spot that out. The Nitro doesn't get maneuvered around. Dots incorrectly positions the shield, and J90 gets the frag.
J90 actually waited to detonate it for a second, and I think Dots was expecting it to be an immediate detonation. And if that was a deliberate play by J90, that is brilliantly smart. Now it's Paulu and Dodez in a 2v5. I feel like we've been here before, Jesse.
Not again.
I don't think Spacestation will give it to them again.
Surely not. There's a chance come through for Dodez, but he doesn't manage to find the head with it. Paulu knows one position as well, but he's not being given the opportunity. Damage onto the arm of Newers, but not the head, so he stays alive.
Paulu playing exceptionally passive, as we often know he will. Down goes Dodez, so Paulu will need to clutch out. He won't get the job done. Foltz finishes him from above, using the shotgun of the pulse to good effect. And it's a flawless round for Spacestation as they win their third. Worst they can do now is tie this first half, but that is considered a failure here on this map, given the way the sides are played. You need 4 rounds in order to be comfortable enough, because the same thing will be said of this FLUXO W7M team.
Yeah, absolutely, Parker. And I mean, I thought you had a great catch on J90's Nitro in the midst of that. I think that was the real turning point. If Dots is able to continue to have that pressure, if he's still got Volps behind him, then that could make a world of difference. But it was just a really good play by SSG. It took him a while to recognize the push that was coming in through Big Garage, but once they figured out what was happening, every reaction from Spacestation was on point. So you have to give them credit for the fantastic play in the midst of that. J90 now 6-2, continuing his strong performances from the first 2 maps, where he really was one of the shining stars of SSG. You mentioned him as one of your favorite players. I talk about Lobin sometimes as my favorite player, but listen, you'll never hear me badmouthing J90 because I'm well aware of just how incredible of a player he can be.
He's just such a complete player.
Yes.
He can play just about any role that you need him to do so. As a human being, he seems incredibly nice. He's never angry. He doesn't look like he tilts.
Yep.
Every time you see him at an event, he's always smiling. He's talking to other teams. I met his parents in Boston. They were exactly the same. So it is no shock. He's got that Midwestern charm. I just think he's a very, very complete player, and I'm glad that he's finally getting the attention he deserves. When you're on a team with guys like FLUXO, who's a world champion, Benja, who's a world champion, Ashen and Newers, who are both very polarizing figures but are especially well known, being the guy that's kind of quiet in the background who just does his job without saying too much, that's a pretty valuable spot to be in, and he does it very well.
Yeah, no ball knower is going to disrespect J9O, but the whole team needs to step up if they want to lock down this 4-2 half. Spacestation desperate for it. This is a bottom floor defense. Don't forget, we're in the basement for Spacestation Gaming, and they haven't really committed to a roam. Benja was up around Tellers for a short period of time, and Fault is here now. But generally, all 5 players are in the bottom floor. It's really just a scouting mission right now for Faults, playing on this clash as he has been through this second quarter after the last set of bans went through. Hoping to maybe bait out a C4, guide those nitro cells from his teammates. Both Newers and Benja are directly below him, and Chain I know is actually right there as well. So a lot of these players are in a position where if they get the information, they could get a free pick with the C4. That's the hope, at least, for SSG. Nobody just giving them that chance yet as the hatch starts to open from FLUXO W7M, and they make their way east.
Fun little tidbit here.
Ooh,
both
nice
Loban and Palu are both sitting at 99 kills through the Six Invitational, so one more for either of them. And they will join June as one of a tiny number of players to eclipse that 100 mark. Now, admittedly, we are not tracking the stats in the other games, so there might be more, especially with how deep that M80 game went. But that was based on before this matchup began. SSG have not played anywhere near as many maps. Oh my goodness. Volps dropping about 18 nades on Fultz's head. I didn't know they could carry that many. Down he goes, and that is an excellent job of punishing the Clash. Keep in mind how resistant to explosives he was on Clash last time. This time they get him.
Yeah, it was a bombing run. So despite the fact that the hatch gets tricked by the Kaid Claw, despite the fact that East pressure wasn't really looking too promising, now it's an opening. Now Palu can take it and try to find some frags.
He's got the Supernova as a Hibana. That's a bit odd. Volps is denying his teammates from getting 100 because he's going to kill everybody this round. Goodbye to Benjamaster. 3 remain. Palu will hit 100. Dots goes down. 2 remain for SSG now. Looking like a 3-3 scoreline. Palu will get yet another. Yoda's bleeding out, but is still retrievable. Palu finally finished off by Newers, who will now need to clutch up against these players, and he seems to be doing a mighty good job in a 1v1, but Volps will get him again, and the first half is tied up. 3-3. Spacestation will not be happy with that. This FLUXO W7M team all event has been so hard to break free of.
God damn, Volps has just had complete ownership over Newers. These last couple of rounds, he'll be in his nightmares tonight. 3-3 split is exactly what FLUXO W7M were looking for on this decider map. It's a map that they, again, have had a win and a loss already on here in Paris. They beat Enterprise towards the start of the event. They lost to Team Secret. Both of those took 11 rounds. This one looks like it's going to go the distance. 12 rounds, maybe overtime, but FLUXO W7M in such a strong commanding position.
Okay, so while I was doing my numbers, Jesse, there's one small thing here. Volps was also at 99 kills. All 3 of those players were sitting at 99 kills in this event. Loban, Palu, and Volps entered that round at 99 kills. Palu got 2, Volps got 3. Loban, who came into this day with the most kills on the team, will be the last to break that number. So, just a bizarre stat point.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
You got him on the ropes when this is happening.
At what point do SSG have to mute the other team? I don't think this has ever happened before.
This is a call the ambulance, but not for me moment.
They may have already hit the mute button. They are refusing to answer, of course, those nades that came down on default. It was a tough spot to be in as a Clash. I don't know exactly how much blame you can put on the captain Space Station. It was so well played, I'd say, by Volps, but just an awkward position with that utility raining down on him like a bombing run. Now on the defensive side, they'll start at the top floor, as most teams do. SSG's attacks, I again think were very good back on Border. Consulate's a very different map than Border was. I even liked their attacks on Cafe, despite the fact that many of them did not work out for Space Station. I thought the ideas behind a lot of their pushes were really smart, really creative. They're going to need more of that creativity if they want to find success on Consulate. Historically thought of as the most defender-sided map in the competitive pool, we expect Space Station to struggle on this second half. They have to prove us wrong.
I do wonder. Benjamaster getting the very first pick onto Dodes is a great sign here, and it comes 25 seconds into the round, 35 seconds into the round. I do wonder if after that incident with Newer's typing, if Callout literally said after the game, you guys mute, I don't want you typing at all this match.
That could have been.
You have to rein them in at some point. It's one thing if it's getting under your opponent's skin, but it's entirely different when it's starting to affect you.
Well, I mean, the whole idea between trash talking for SSG is that it's supposed to be a tactic. It's supposed to get in your opponent's head. If it ends up hurting you more than helping, then you can cut that out at any time. Now, Newers does get caught on the window. Loban, a brilliant shot as he aggresses into Copy. SSG, a very similar idea to FLUXO, where they're trying to use that Rara to shut down some of these positions, but it doesn't seem to be working. A great little play, and then Palu for a second takes down the other fragger.
Loban got that kill? The first kill against Newers?
Yes, he did.
That's 100, baby.
Congratulations to Loban.
3 players breaking 100 kills on this FLUXO W7M. They have played a lot of Siege here, admittedly. So there's something to be said about efficiency. If you're just playing, you know, if you've played 120 rounds and you get 100 kills versus somebody who's getting it with 80 rounds, it's obviously a big difference. We're not trying to pass judgment. It's just a cool milestone for us to reference, and these kill tallies will continue to increase the deeper they go into the event. A missed opportunity onto that defender of Palu. SSG now staring down the wrong side of the barrel.
Here comes the push from Benja. The flash makes some space, and he hits a great shot, too! Numbers flip back towards SSG, and they could go for a plant CEO side.
Every kill this round has come from the Dane, but that will be all she wrote. Loban swinging onto him. No real coverage for Fultz. Through that ROU projector, he nails a nice shot, and Loban, tilted back, knows what needs to be done. A lot falls onto his shoulders as J90 will be the guardian watching over Fultz. Near yellow stairs, they'll hear the Scorpion heading up Spiral from long desk, now into waiting room. They're out of the building. All right, so really you've got 2 options here. You try to long arm it and hope that they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing, or you just die to the upside down. We know which one it was.
Yep.
That was completely hopeless for Loban. He knew it. That's why he hopped on the defuse kit. Didn't even try to fight it. The moment that they were outside the building, he's got to go for a jump out. It's possible if there's 1 person. It's not if there's 2.
And the entry frags, they weren't successful for SSG. They get shut down really early, but it's such a smart reaction from Space Station. Benja finds the gap over towards yellow. He flashes, makes space, hits 2 beauty shots that we nicely see in slow motion. And at that point, Fault starts to plant default inside of CEO. But he doesn't complete the plant, because from behind, Loban kills Benja and then drops the hatch into Piano. As soon as Loban gets into Piano, he threatens the denial of that plant. Faults can no longer plant default. So Faults goes on a marathon run. He goes all the way from CEO. He goes into meeting. He goes to the second bomb site. At that point, now we're Loban's POV. He can't deny the plant from below anymore. So he goes up spiral stairs. He says, okay. And then once he does that, Faults says, okay, he's no longer below. I can go back over to the CEO window. He went from plant A to plant B, back to plant A because he was playing mind games up against Loban, who is down below. That's such a smart play to come out from the captain of Faults. It comes off of a really nice shot from Benja as well, who makes that opportunity possible. Everybody on SSG firing to make that happen, and they regain the lead.
And Jesse, you missed it, but Fultz typed bots in chat right after that round. It was while you were compiling your numbers for that point.
Yeah.
And then Volp said, who? And nobody responded. So imagine they did turn off chat.
Probably.
Fultz turns it on, types bots, turns it right back off.
Yeah.
That's perfect. It's like when you trash talk somebody after a game and then immediately block them. You get mad and you're like, you get a salty message from a former teammate, you type back and it's like, this user is not available. And you're like, damn it, got me.
Put your hands in your ears and say, la 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 la.
Yeah.
No thank you.
This is a quick push now from Fultz, who 2 rounds in a row now. Space Station has been very quick to get into the building. Benja was quick to get in yet again, but he gets shut down by Loban. He was far more successful in the previous round. And with those 3 kills, completely cracked the round wide open. You give praise to Fulton for good reason. No follow-up, though, now. J90 is not far removed from Fultz. These two have been almost joined at the hip, which is very standard for this team. That leaves Newers and Ashen all on their lonesome. Newers was getting the hatch open in Visa. And will now rotate back to that similar position. Ashen waiting for the first logic bomb to go off. He's a pretty good read on where they are. He doesn't have any confirmation, though.
Now we'll know.
Well, now they know where he is as well. And if there was a premonition, Ashen finds 2. Great transfer from Paulu to Loban. Upstairs, he'll dig the grave, and down they will sink. Immediate logic bomb to keep the final players of FLUXO W7M paralyzed for but just a moment.
It's a kid from Chicago hitting ridiculous shots. Why not one more? 3K from Ashen through the hatch. DMR finds Dots inside the bottom floor. Now we're starting to get desperate, W7M. Here comes Volps, gets one back, traded by J90. Dots has to rotate back down the yellow stairs because this plant is happening, and that castle's bad news.
Wonder what happens here. Bye-bye. J90 locks it out. It's been a long time since we've seen that level of energy and gusto from this SSG team, and frankly, for good reason. They have not looked like they are that strong over the last little bit. Benjamaster, after that 3K in the previous round, had an early death in the round we just saw, but 106 EPS. Going positive on entry, going positive on kills. These are tough opponents. The fact that Benja is that tight on entry and kills, but he's going up against guys like Loban, Paulu, Volps, that's great. And again, it just goes back to what we said about FLUXO W7M. The same applies to Space Station.
And Parker, it's ridiculous that they're getting these round wins on the attack. Consulate's supposed to favor the defenders, and yet Space Station are making some miracle plays happen. It was Benja to pop off, get the round back into a winnable territory for SSG in round 7. Round 8, it's going to be Ashen on that top floor, who single-handedly hunts down the roamers, denies those trades, gets the vert kills as well. It's been really clean. Big individual pop-offs from Space Station. They're going to need 2 more if they want to walk away with this victory, at least before we get to overtime. FLUXO W7M. We talk about muting in the in-game chat. You cannot mute them IRL. So Ashen screams. They've got to keep that out of their mind as they stay mentally composed.
Timeout's still available.
Yes.
So all hell can break loose from a leadership perspective after this round. I don't know if we'll see one if FLUXO W7M wins. I mean, it's entirely possible that they win the round and Norris says, okay, let's set ourselves up for what comes next. But again, there is some theory to it. Because if FLUXO W7M wins this round and then calls their timeout, Space Station still gets to talk to call out. So you allow your opponents a bit of breathing room and some time to pause. If you think you've got them on the ropes, you might just want to keep going right through it. First logic bomb goes off as soon as is humanly possible. There's very little follow-up on it. I imagine this was for a scouting mission, Jesse.
Already we're seeing this top clear. I mean, they haven't really committed to clearing these guys out. You're right. It really is just poking forward for information, scouting as you will. 2 players inside of meeting. That's going to be Volps and Loban trying to hide in this top floor. They've got some pressure elsewhere up above too, but it's going to be J90 who strikes first. Loban sees somebody, but it's not enough to hit the head. So with his teammate going down, now Loban is almost forced to play a little bit more passive. Has to back off to play with Volps. Every single player on FLUXO W7M has now come to this top floor. Benja kind of realizing, hey, things might be free on site. Loban drops down, and there's one on yellow to fight him.
Opening kills fairly even between these two teams. 5 for Space Station at this point in time. 4 for FLUXO W7M as we are in the 9th round. Well, their logic bomb will give them some more information. Space Station still has tools at their disposal. Down goes Paulu. All those gas canisters that remain will die in pocket. That is not ideal. The other gadget's persistent. Or Volps, who is an active gadget in the Warden. Dota is firing back, but finds himself getting killed in the windows. I don't think he was expecting Newers in that position. Now it's SSG doubled up on FLUXO. Not much utility on the side of FLUXO. Just those 2 nitro cells now. One will go out. A flashbang goes in. I think Jack hears it. Nades will go over. This is a tough spot. Those glasses can stop you from seeing flashbangs and smokes, but they don't do anything about nades. Volps is trapped in this position. He's a caged animal, but he breaks free. J90 and Volps gone from this position. Volps can get more as he still tries to swing out, finding Benja, but losing the engagement. Loban to the rescue. They've got the top floor for Space Station, but now they need to drop. Down goes Newers. Benja with defuse kit. He needs to engage with Loban 1v1. Loban getting out of this position, running downstairs. Benjamaster might be able to pull this one off. He's past the point of no return, but Loban gets in at time and makes it work. A huge clutch from FLUXO, and they will win the round. Oh my God.
Volps and Loban both pulling off the impossible. Volps up above Parker. He was being swarmed like sharks. There was no chance he should have gotten 1 kill, let alone 2. Dodging nades, goes left and right, dancing inside of that just balcony position, somehow finds those frags, and it takes them so long to get those kills to finally trade him out that the time is abysmal at that point for Space Station Gaming. They panic to try to get to the bomb site. The hatch drop is done without information. They don't have time to check for it. And Space Station Gaming aren't able to convert the 4v2. What a ridiculous round from Volps, who surely will be typing after that because he just played out of his mind to give them that opportunity. Loban has to play that perfect too. The bulletproof camera, of course, feeding the information in the 1v1 makes it impossible for Benja. There's just no way for him to win in that moment. That feels like a momentum shifter. That feels like the round that could have just tilted this back in the favor of FLUXO W7M.
Absolutely, and I mean, again, you talked about how this is a defender-sided map, and yet SSG has made most of these attacks look really good. They should not have lost that round at all, Jesse. Yet again, with the game basically on the line and man advantage, multiple man advantage, men advantage, Space Station are incapable of pulling it off. That was an incredibly impressive play from Volps. He could have also gotten a 3rd kill from that position, but it knocks SSG off, and there's no recovery with the clock being what it is.
We've got cafe vibes at this moment. This is really starting to feel like map 2 of this series, where it doesn't really matter who wins the early game. Space Station could have a great attack, FLUXO could have a great early defense, but somebody is going to step up in the last 60 seconds and be a hero. Whether it's Volps on W7M, whether it's Benja on SSG, somebody is going to step up and make you rethink everything you know about this matchup. Volps hoping he can do that early on, tempting a run out. They look like they're aware of it. That angle up on the top floor might be trying to bait out a swing. There is somebody maybe on the roof. Oh no, they are watching for it. But the bait isn't taken from Volps. He plays a passive, Parker. He doesn't commit to the run out.
Channeling the inner patience of Paulu. He's still waiting in this position.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. This can't end well.
Did some serious damage, and he manages to get away. Volps was saying, you know what, I had such a good time in that room last round. What if I do it again?
And did better than it probably should have. You're taking that if you're Volps. Doesn't get the chance to reinforce the wall, which usually is what you want to do if you don't commit to that roam, but getting it alive should be a blessing at that point.
Benjamaster has been really, really good on this map after a very quiet cafe. He has regained his position on the team as top frag. Almost got Volps as well, and after what Volps did in that previous round, he's a big get at this point in time. Dots, who's been playing his role effectively, not in terms of kills, but gadgetry, almost takes down Benjamaster for his 3rd kill of the map. Benja's still alive, but is definitely wounded, and with a Tachanka on the board, and the Denari on the board, and a smoke on the board, basically anything touches Benja, and he dies. That is not an ideal situation for SSG. The good news is everybody else, except Volts, is taking a tiny bit of damage, and now Ashen is ready to fight back.
FLUXO gotta save their lives, Parker. They are in a man disadvantage, but the positioning is still really strong. There's the first strike from Volts, but it's thankfully traded back by Paul to down the kit.
And look at Newers, look at Ashen, look at Benja. 1 bullet from any gun will topple all 3 of these players. Palu is waiting ever so patiently at the top of spiral stairs. Volp still persisting as well from this spot, and as the time continues to go down, those Molotovs will pay off exceptionally well. He gets one of those 3 players that were walking wounded. Ashen is no more. Another opportunity here, but he gets a little bit too brazen. J90 was waiting for it, and in they will walk with the kit. J90 in hand. They're expecting it. SSG watching, waiting. What can Palu muster? There's no way, right? Benja's downed. Palu clutches. He hit the Denari tripwire. FLUXO pull it off again. They didn't know. And it's tie game. FLUXO W7M does it again.
Parker, you literally mentioned it earlier. If any of that utility breathes on Benja, he's going to get downed. And Palu yells out, explaining what's just happened to us. SSG will take a tactical timeout after a massive blunder just ends that round for them. FLUXO W7M have seriously...
I'm stunned. I'm stunned. I am stunned.
Logan just put into the chat, worst match ever played. Let's go, guys. I mean... I don't know if I'd go that far, but this has really been a ridiculous series from both of these squads, SSG in particular. If the mental wasn't already gone, Parker, surely it's got to be cracked open now. This is where a strong coach needs to step in and settle things down. I like that that's attack timeout from callouts. You know which bomb site you're going to be headed to next. You have to be able to refocus things after what just occurred happens again after what we saw on Cafe. Spacestation Gaming in a winning position with the man advantage. I don't think that was ever an easy round for SSG, but I mean, the 1v3 certainly feels like it. If Benja's still alive, that's so winnable for him too, because Palu's got to stick the disable even without much HP. I think Benja's in the stronger position, but that's why that early damage can matter. That's why those traps are so deadly, Parker. When you're not expecting them in the 1v1, you're not thinking about, oh, am I going to step on a laser? You're thinking about what's the other guy doing.
That's 2 rounds in a row that Space Station should have, at this point, finished the map.
Yeah, literally.
We should be done. It was played so well by FLUXO W7M both times. Let's not kid ourselves here. It's not like they sleptwalked their way into a win on either of those rounds. They earned them.
Absolutely.
But you got a serious assist from Space Station. That's happened on Cafe. It's happening again. I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know if it's lack of coordination. I don't know what is going on with this SSG team, but the vibes are definitely off. And FLUXO W7M are a team that you cannot allow to punish you. They will do it almost every single time. These players are too good. Palu is too good, he's too experienced. Volps is too good, he's too experienced. You cannot just let them take the ball and run with it. And both of those rounds, that's exactly what SSG did. And you got dunked on over and over again. And now what should have been us sitting and talking about the post-mortem, now it's a tie game, and FLUXO W7M has been given a lifeline.
Now it's time to refocus if you're Space Station. You cannot think about those previous rounds. You've got an attack on the bottom floor, and then one more probably mid-floor after that. You've got to be clean through rounds 11 and 12. It starts with the top floor clear. The roamers from FLUXO W7M have largely fallen off their positions. They've fully conceded the top floor at this point, and they've started to move down towards the main floor. Spiral, Lounge, Zulu as well. All these places still being played by FLUXO W7M, but these are spots that are slowly being given up. They don't really want to risk anything early. I think they're hoping that SSG will slow themselves down, that they'll waste their own time, they'll be in their own heads. And if someone sees a gap, don't get me wrong, somebody on W7M FLUXO will go for the flank. Dodez potentially has it now. It's been a rough map for him. Here's the beepers of Benja.
There's good patience right now. The sound will be obscured by the boogie drone as it flies around the map. J90 still has one remaining in pocket. With this bomb site, you are going to need a lot of soft destruction, and they have plenty. The secondaries of both Ashen's Jackal and the Deimos of Newers do an excellent job from a caliber-based destruction. Newers is the first one to die. Oh my, talk about adding insult to injury here.
I mean, that's where you feel the pit in your stomach just drop, isn't it, Parker? That's the man advantage. That's potentially map point for FLUXO W7M. I like the position, but there is 30 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, this one's flown by. You need the Deimos to keep those players downstairs.
No.
Paralyzed. Benja dies to a Razor Bloom. Is that the first time we've seen one all series? Yes, it is.
On the gas pipe, too.
Unbelievable. It was both. A nice 1-2 punch from that environmental destruction. 10 seconds left. FLUXO W7M steamrolling now. This might be a flawless round unless Foltz can do something about it. No, he can't. He dies inside a garage. The Brazilians with all the momentum. We might not even need OT, Jesse. They have set themselves up so well to finish this in regulation, and it's series point for FLUXO W7M.
The cart is off the rails. It is flown off and is tumbling down the hill. FLUXO W7M will call their tactical timeout. When SSG seem to be floundering, Norris makes the decision to talk to his players and give the enemy potentially one more opportunity to mentally reset. At the same time, of course, Norris has got to reset FLUXO. They've got to make sure they're in the right mindset. They want to know for sure what bomb site they're going to go to. They've got options. Piano will be open and the split site will be open as well. So this is a choice they've got to make. You got to imagine at this point you need to show something new to SSG. You can't just allow them to adapt by showing them something that they've already played against.
Now, this is all speculation, of course. But I do wonder if they saw that round and they go, these guys are done. These guys are done. Let's drive a stake through their heart. Let's move on. Newers looked very unsupported with the way he entered. So did Benja. It looked like, at least from our vantage point, and there are things we can miss from the spectator just because of the way this game works, but it looked like SSG were not very well coordinated there. If their mental is chalked, and if their courage and their confidence in themselves is completely gone, Callout can come up with the best strategy possible. But if you doubt yourself and you try to get too over-eager and over-peak and die, or the opposite, you get too passive, as both seem to be true on Spacestation in the previous round, then you say, hey, we're going to go to this site. We've got this idea. It's a pocket strat. Let's close this one out. Doesn't even matter if Callout gets to talk to them again. If Norris is that confident in his guys and so has so much of a lack of confidence in Spacestation, it's a good time to call his timeout.
I like the operators from Lobin, both in the previous round and this one. He was previously on the Vigil, now he moves over to the Valkyrie. It's the first time he's brought out either of these operators the entire map, Parker. They won't be expected. When you've got a million things flying through your head, the last thing you think is, oh, yeah, I need to make sure that I'm aware of the Valkyrie cameras. But SSG, to their credit, they bring out a couple of good operators to counter that Valkyrie. They've got the Brava from Benjamaster. They've got the IQ from Newers. So the information could be there, and maybe you can even turn those cameras against the defenders. But still, Spacestation have the harder job. They have more pressure, and they have a ridiculously good team that they're going
Here
up
it comes,
against.
Jesse. Here it comes, Jesse. Foltz on repel. Ashton has his cover. Palu takes down Benja first. The point I was going to make is that both Benja and Newers have been very good some rounds at getting in the building and staying alive, and very bad other rounds. Very feast or famine for their entry. You are gambling an awful lot on a Brava and an IQ if they are going to be your main entries. You've lost the Brava. Good news, you managed to take down Volps. He has been exceptional in this series, but his gadgets will still remain. Those volcanic canisters will still remain strewn about the map, and they can be used to slow down Spacestation even if Volps is dead.
Yeah, this is still good utility from FLUXO W7M. SSG mostly just sitting on the roof at this point. Top floor is going to be the goal, but Paulu finds Ashen as he swings out through yellow. That's man advantage back under control for FLUXO W7M, and Paulu's in a power spot. You can't root him out of here.
Could it be another flawless round? No, it won't be. Newers finding one kill. Foltz now living on borrowed time as Paulu gets very aggressive, and goodbye, Foltz. It's Newers to die first in the previous round and Newers to potentially die last here. A redemption arc is very possible. He finds one, a beautiful shot. Paulu and Lobin now await him. He's got the Valkyrie around the corner. He pre-fires away, but where is Paulu? Not really connected, playing his role, waiting for this 1v1, not affected by Newers' position. They are trusting in Lobin, but long range, Palu sees him, and what a comeback it is for FLUXO W7M as they take down Space Station and secure second in their group.
The Montreal Major champions show the composure, the poise that they needed to win that massive event. They did not have the season that they wanted up until the Six Invitational. Munich, a little bit disappointing for this Brazilian squad, but against SSG, they managed to pull through. They will be the #1 rated second place group finisher and will have earned the right to choose their first opponent in the playoffs.
We're just starting to see a lay of the land as all of these teams clinch their spots, either up in the upper bracket, down in the lower bracket, or clinching their plane ticket home. Good news if you're a fan of Space Station, you're still going to get to see them. They are not done. While this did feel like an elimination game and had the weight of a heavyweight bout, Space Station will still exist, but congratulations to FLUXO W7M on a very hard-earned victory. Think about their matchup against Team Secret yesterday, and now think about their matchup against Space Station today. Number one, I feel for you fans of the Fluxers and the Bulls because this was not easy on your soul, but think about the players, Jesse, how exhausting these two series must have been, and all played within the last 24 hours.
Yeah, FLUXO W7M have really been on a marathon these last couple of days, but there's a reason why they're considered one of the favorites for this event. They look phenomenal coming out against SSG. It wasn't their day. Space Station, a few too many mistakes in maps 2 and 3 will cost them this series. They could have been out of here hours ago, enjoying their victory as they peruse Paris, but no, they'll have to sit tonight with that defeat as FLUXO W7M will walk away with the victory.
And Palu did not enter as the highest rated player. He was middle of the pack on his team, but I feel like every single comment that was put in chat by Space Station added to the strength of the outlaw himself. Palu, a wanted man now after that performance, but good God, drip or drown, they say? Well, he's got the drip, and it was SSG who drowned at his hands.
They've got some time to refocus now, Parker. There are no more games tomorrow. We do still have a couple of games on this stream, but for the players in the server today, they will not have to worry about getting back into the lobby tomorrow. They've got a day off before the playoffs begin. For SSG's sake, I think they're going to need that day off.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to need that day off. We have seen some inexplicable implosions from teams and some others that just need to refine a few things. FLUXO W7M have some things to work on themselves. Let's not kid ourselves.
For sure.
But Space Station obviously showed the greatest weaknesses. They got punished by the Brazilians, and it was FLUXO W7M's day today.